This week, it's Thanksgiving, and it's a That Car Show Holiday Greatest Hits show. Since you're probably sitting middle seat on a Southwest flight as you listen to this, say hello to Tory, or maybe halfway across Nebraska in a Genesis GV70, maybe with a whiny dog and a cranky family in tow, we figure you could use 3 hours of enthusiast content. First up, our very first That Car Show episode, Oui Oui, which, if our analytics are to be believed, you probably haven't heard. Jeff Bezos' Key Party, on the other hand, is another early show that's proven to be a popular favorite. Just make sure you grab the keys with the Porsche fob. And we end on my conversation with my pal Sasha Selipanov, founder of Nilu 27, a hypercar which is very much having a moment. He's on Jay Leno's Garage this week, but we had him first. It's That Car Show, and have a fun and safe Thanksgiving holiday, everyone. That Car Show is brought to you by Sheffield Watches. Sheffield is the storied watchmaking brand that was revived a couple of years back by our good friend Jay Turkbus, and it's seen wild success in both the car and watch enthusiast communities. Sheffield offers a wide selection of watches, many inspired by the iconic designs of its 1960s dive models, most notably the one that Jay's parents gave him in 1970, which ignited his lifelong passion for watches. Sheffield watches are high quality, reasonably priced, and a great value. Sheffield has truly become the car guy and car gal's watch of choice. Order your Sheffield watch at sheffieldwatches.com. Give them a follow on the gram at Sheffield_allsport_watches and tell them That Car Show sent you. That Car Show is proud to partner with Drake Motor Cars. Drake Motor Cars is Denver's premier destination for exactly the kinds of vehicles that we like here at That Car Show. Think Velocity Broncos, Audi RS6s, Acura NSXs, and air-cooled Porsches. You can see their complete and constantly changing inventory at DrakeMotorCars.com and check out their amazing online reviews from all across the country. But our friends at Drake need your specialty car too. A sign of a good business is when there are more customers than inventory. So reach out to Drake too if you've got a great enthusiast car that just doesn't get driven like it used to. Find out more at DrakeMotorCars.com and let them know you heard about them on That Car Show. Is it Motel 8 or Motel 6?
Maybe it's Motel 6.
Motel 6, okay, yeah. It's more of a 6 than an 8.
Yeah. Tops out at a 6.
On this week's episode, Lindsay goes to France, Porsches are blowing up, we make green cars great again, and Stellantis just keeps killing it. Don't forget the pate and always be driving. It's That Car Show. It's That Car Show.
Hello.
Hey guys.
Good evening.
Bonjour.
Yeah. Someone made a last-minute trip to the continent.
Someone did. Yes.
Go to Retromobile.
There and
what
back
is Retromobile?
again.
This is one of those things that just sort of existed in, my world of Someday and like Car Week and Amelia Island but this is one I have yet to check off, and yet you were just there.
I was. Yes, it came together exceptionally last minute. And it is, I knew it was a big event, but really the extent of my knowledge was Instagram, seeing friends post when they had been in years past. And same thing, I went, kind of the FOMO was getting more and more every year when I would see it. I go, oh, that's right, I really want to go. So it is a showcase for the classic car sector is the way they talk about it. Bringing together more than 2,000 cars and motorbikes from a huge range. There were modern, there was a 992 GT3, we saw GT3 RS, and then Citroen from World War II. There was a huge display of those. And then kind of everything in between, motorbikes, bicycles, cars, miniatures, collector's items. There were some booths that had books, like, big displays of car books, memorabilia. I mean, it's the scale.
Not really comparable.
The scale
was
stunning. It's like, you remember how big the LA Auto Show, which is several halls in the convention center. That's how Retromobile is. And they had 3 halls, and it's just sort of, there is so much. It's massive, and there's something for everybody. Huge variety, and just there isn't there isn't anything like it here, which is part of the reason they announced while I was there that they are bringing it to New York in November of 2026.
Okay, interesting.
Yes.
Interesting.
Wow.
So it was really fun to be there with that announcement because they're all really excited to bring it here.
So I have so many questions. So it's an exhibition. There's
Yes.
an auction component.
Yes.
There's a concours, like a judge component. No, like what? Like
They
this
did
just sort of seems like
award-
everything to everyone. Yeah.
It really was. I mean, that was, even after just a few minutes there, I went, okay, it's a combination of all the events that we have here that are standalone events, because it reminded me, I was like, okay, there's a little bit of, there are elements of Car Week. It's a very different venue, but the classic car element is similar to Car Week. And then a little bit of SEMA, a little bit of Porsche Lit Week, because that's so focused on, the books and collector items and the, Matchbox cars and that kind of thing. So there's that element. Yeah. And then in, a couple of the different halls, they had the live auction that was going on site. One of the auction houses in Europe, Art Curial Motor Cars, they were the on-site auction company. And then in that same hall, they also had space for enthusiast clubs. And of course, I ran across the American Muscle Car French chapter. Without even trying, I found them. Yes, they just drew me in. And then the club that was across the aisle from them, a lot of the members were sitting there. I mean, this was the charm of Retromobile, is they're sitting there at a table having pâté, just enjoying themselves. I mean, it has elements of a lot of the different events here, but with an incredibly European flair, as you might expect. And, there were one of the booths there were some musicians, live musicians. And then at one point there were people in, retro, turn of the century almost clothing on old bicycles riding through the show.
Pickpockets everywhere.
Right.
No, I'm kidding.
No.
Sounds amazing.
It was.
It's all indoors. It's all part of one complex. So it's not like you're going off site for anything, right?
No, it was just like if you've been to a convention center and you move between the halls, it was like, that was, a standard experience. But yeah, I mean, it just was like, you have to see it to believe it in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
The outskirts of Paris or in the center of Paris? Where is it held?
It's at the Paris Expo Convention Center, which is, I was in a neighborhood in Paris, and it was about 25 minutes by metro. So it's on the edge of the city, but very easy to get to. I was there for such a short time that it was nice to stay in Paris, because then for dinners and the one day that I took to sort of soak up Paris, it was easy to see, to get to the different places that I wanted to check off. But it was really easy to get to the event.
So going into this, like completely ignorant to the history of this thing, how long has this been going on? Is this like the future of the car show? You mentioned it's going to New York. Like we all know, like the decline of the New York Auto Show, right? I mean, is this going to take its place for people like us? Like what?
No, I mean, I think it's going to complement it because it's so different. Yeah. It's not a modern auto show in that sense. Mm-hmm. So, and I was able to meet the gentleman who is heading the New York event, Gerard, and I got to chat with him for a bit, and his enthusiasm was, contagious, and they're just so excited. And he said, part of the reason they're so excited is because we don't have anything exactly like that here, even with all the events we have.
Yeah. And Denver was not on their short list of cities.
It wasn't, but it was, I mean, it was so nice to talk to him because obviously they're in the middle of the event. We all know how busy that is, especially if you are on the team putting on the event. Yeah. You don't have a lot of breathing room, but he took the time to chat with me and talked about why they landed on New York. And that's because they wanted they want to draw from Europe and the US.
Okay. Makes sense.
So they thought that was striking a balance. It's not it's not extremely far for one or the other. And hopefully they can draw from both. And, they didn't want to compete with, like, obviously you're not going to do it in August because you have Car Week. That kind of thing, where they looked at when are the big events here that they don't want to compete with. They want to have their own space so that people would actually come and enjoy it.
Well, and I think New York is underrepresented. I guess what I was getting at. I mean, Denver was a joke, right? But but
Hey,
LA, right,
throw
would
your
be
hat
like
in
the
ring.
first. Yeah, that's right.
Shoot your shot.
Right. But I mean, New York does make sense, And do you know how long this has been going on? Because I feel like I've heard of it for a while, but increasingly more in recent years. Like I've heard this is the place. There's like a flea market component. Like if you need like a
Yes.
dash
So
switch
that's
for your
the
like
other-
OSCA, whatever, that's where you find it,
some
right? Or
esoteric
hubcap.
part.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's, I guess that like we're sort of illustrating the point without planning it, is how many different elements are represented. It makes for such a unique event, and unlike anything we have here, because there are parts brokers and there are classic car brokers, and then you have it's like every element of the car hobby in one giant event.
Yeah.
So this was the 49th year of the event in Paris.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, so, and who's behind it? Is it like
it's a group, and I'm going to pronounce it the anglicized way, obviously, but it's Comexposium.
Okay.
So my friend Ramon is the director of the event, and I've gotten to know him at Car Week, and I definitely didn't pronounce that correctly, but hopefully he'll forgive me. So Ramon runs Retromobile Paris, and then Gerard he will be running Retromobile New York.
Amazing. Do you know where in New York it'll be?
The Javits Center.
Oh, no, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. Huh.
Yeah. So
Have they work with Teamsters yet?
Don't know about that. Yeah. But,
sure
one of the things, I had a chance to talk to Ramon quickly, and he was saying the prep had gone very smoothly, and I think attendance was up 24% maybe from the year before. Like he has run the event for the last 3 years. And before that was part of the organization and, learning the ropes, and just, he was really excited because a lot of young people came this year too.
Awesome.
And so it's nice to see that, because the show can continue on, and obviously it's drawing in the next generation of enthusiasts. And I know that's something that we all think about. And so it's good to see.
And
sounds
to put
amazing.
it in context a little bit, obviously we have a researcher for the show, and the researcher tells me that there were over 100,000 visitors to the show this year. Did it feel like 100,000?
It definitely did. And I was doing a little support research to back up our very hardworking researcher, and the figures that I saw said more than 146,000 people. And so it started on the 5th. They had a preview on the 4th for media in the evening, and then it was the 5th through the 9th. So it's over the course of the entire event. Yeah.
And is this a pricey ticket? Obviously, you got to get to
Can
Paris.
be if you buy, if you buy the pass for the full event.
Yeah.
But you can buy a one-day pass, and you can do it in a way that makes sense for you. And I should correct myself. It was up 12% from 2024. That's where it was.
That's fantastic. Did you run into anyone? Any friends? I figured you would. Yeah.
So my friend Lara joined me to go. Her Instagram is that Porsche girl. So she was able to join me and go with me. And then we ran into Steve Serio, who's based in Boston. He's the Real Bond Group on Instagram. He's the broker that works with Cam Ingram and Peter Brotman. So we ran into Steve and Peter on the floor of the show, like not long after we got there, and had a chance to catch up with them. And that was super fun. And then once I really realized the scale of the show, it's remarkable that we ran into them.
Yeah. It always happens though, right? Well, of course, everyone too. Which
it was so perfect. Well, and we had been in touch ahead of time, both of us, saying we want to get together because we knew we were all going to be there. And then we just happened to see him right away. So it was perfect. And got to chat with him. And Peter has that gorgeous lime green Miura that was all over Instagram, I think last year. And we ran into them right by. There was another green Miura that was gorgeous, but it was more of a, it was sort of like a teal British Racing Green hybrid. But the even more remarkable was that the interior was full green like steering wheel, seats, carpet, everything.
So I don't want to change the subject too much, but I've become obsessed with green cars all of a sudden. Like it's
You're
1990
right on
and I'm
trend.
shopping for a Lexus, gold package and stuff. But no,
Right?
I really have fallen in love with that, like a Brewster green or something. And, so I was on the GT3 configurator and I thought, how cool would that be to do like a green interior, like with a green, like such a nod to like the 70s or whatever, but it would be impossibly expensive, but, if you're there was an orange Aston Martin on auction there as well.
Yes.
Did you see that? That was like
We got
everything
to
was
see
orange.
that one in person.
Okay.
And so that's what
If you're
was,
gonna go all out.
that's what I was saying. Initially you kind of go, oh, that's a lot of orange. And that one actually had color matched the wheel. The center of the wheels was orange too.
Yeah.
But it would be such a conversation piece at a minimum. You take that anywhere.
Yeah.
It was striking. It was a conversation piece. And that one was all orange. And it's like, you got to appreciate the commitment to the color because like you said, it was orange steering wheel, orange headliner, orange upholstery, orange carpets,
everything.
orange wheels, center of the wheels, the color, obviously the exterior color was orange. But what struck us too, very unexpectedly was, so we went to Bonham's first, because the big auction houses do auctions in Paris the week of Retromobile because everybody's already there. And the Bonham's auction was happening the day I got in. So we went there and they had a Ferrari 400 that was, if you want a green car, Ryan, this is the green car for you.
I have a thing for the 400. I really do.
Okay.
They're very much of an era.
It was, and this one in particular was just so charming that I kept coming back to it because so they had, the way Bonham's was set up, it was at the Grand Palais in Paris. The auction was inside and they had a display outside with 5, not hero cars, but featured incredibly, rare, historic cars. And then another display outside just below those. And then others were over in another, like a storage area. And so you take a shuttle to that. And this Ferrari 400 was in the group that you had to take the shuttle to. But I kept going back to it because, so green exterior, completely green interior, again, green steering wheel, green upholstery, green carpet, everything, green carpet in the trunk, and then green window tint, which I've never seen before in my life.
That's a
like
flex for sure.
That's taking it to another level, right?
It's kind of like the watch world, though. Like the funky stuff in the long, term is the stuff that really keeps its value. And I wouldn't have even known about that orange car, but our buddy Maurice Merrick at Horsepower Heritage had Eric Meinhof, I think his name is. Eric Meinhof from Bonham's, who talked about some of his favorites, and that orange car was one. But I think there's something to that. I always like those OG AMGs, like the Hammers and all that, where everything was like red, right down to like the grill and the star. I think that's just,
like if we said red, if we said this color, you can count on. Well, and what was
a certain customer. Yeah.
What was so funny, and I have to say, Richard Stafford was one of the auctioneers at Bonham's who worked that particular auction, and they trade off. They have a few different, but he happened to be at the gavel when the 400 came up.
That's the clip you posted. Yeah.
Yes, he had, probably my favorite quip of the whole trip, make green great again. So funny.
That's a hat for me. Yeah.
It was so funny. But so that was the first green car. Then we got to the event the next morning and there's this Miura that has almost the same interior. Like the leather looked the same, full green again.
Yeah.
Then when we finally made it over to the other halls, there's a vintage Porsche Turbo with a full green interior. So I think there was some stealth collector who's just been like dripping, drips and drabs. His collection is being released. And, or there was something going on in Europe in the 80s with the green interior where they're like, this is the business. So
yeah.
But there definitely, it felt like there was an unintentional theme for sure.
Well, that's where you're going to see that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And then there was a Skoda Felicia, which of course I just could.
I don't even know what that is.
Felicia.
I got to look that up.
Like a model.
What they said when it rolled off the auction block.
But it was a brilliant green.
Yeah.
Yeah. So green was a theme through the trip, which was fun. But
all right, I'm looking this up.
I'm looking at pictures of this 400.
Yeah.
It's definitely
green.
What do you
think? It's definitely.
Skoda Felicia is like a little Econobox.
Oh yeah. but it was
Yeah,
cute. It was
okay.
like brilliant
All right.
green.
Got it.
Because then, it's like anything. When you see something, then we're like, there's green everywhere. But,
Yeah.
these three examples
Now I
with
gotta
the
look
green
up the
interiors really stood out. Like, really special. But
Yeah, I mean, again, we've talked about this before. That's not like a second or third car. That's
No.
your 16th or 17th or
right. That's
401st or whatever.
well,
Yeah,
and it's same with the orange car where you're like, you
Yeah,
buy that
yeah.
just because you're like, it's so bad it's good. And I want to have it
is
when
a-
I feel like going to Cars and Coffee and just sort of
Yeah.
causing a scene and looking absurd
yeah,
and just
yeah.
like making everybody smile.
Yeah, this is so. Yeah, what would you call it? Oh, yeah, there's the green tint. I'm looking at the Bonham's car now, the 400i.
Yeah.
That's pretty great. Like you got a place in Palm Springs or something, right? I mean,
Right.
that's the car right there. That's awesome.
Were
Yeah.
they all automatic, or did they do a stick one?
It was a manual.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
one
but
was
it didn't have a
automatic.
gated shifter. Yeah, it had that bag shifter, right, which just doesn't quite have the same, cachet or whatever.
There's no clunk click, is there?
But I think the argument has been made that that maybe the automatic is where it's at. It's kind of like a 928, like a Porsche, right? Like where maybe the automatic suits it, in some strange way, right? It's a GT car, right? I mean, it's
Right, because it's got, it has a back seat. So, that's your vintage family Ferrari.
yeah. Can you imagine though, like, just we've talked about this again before, but like loading up, like, I guess in this case your family and heading to, I don't know, the south of France or whatever. I mean, it just
Right. In
I
your
don't know.
green on green on green on green on green Ferrari.
Yeah. No speed cameras. Everyone in the car's got a cigarette, including the kids. It's just like, that was living, right? Like,
Right.
Yeah. I don't know, guys. I'm approaching 50 here. I got to start doing a little more living. Maybe it starts with the green 400i Ferrari.
Right.
No more GT
Yeah.
silver Porsches for
So which color, if you guys were going to pick a car and commit
Yeah.
to it, or pick a color and commit to
Yeah.
it the way that these commendable collectors did,
Yeah.
which color would you pick?
No, what's the car? Because
You get
color's
to choose.
very-
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
You get to choose, and I don't think that's as important.
Yeah.
It's like, what color would you want to be surrounded by? Like
Right,
every
just like-
element of the car.
Like the name was it Greg Blue came up right before we started recording, and he's obviously his name is Blue. It's Blue Cars, right?
He's
I think
committed to
Maritime
blue.
Blue is
Yeah.
kind of his thing. Yeah, so you're going to
Which is a
commit to
good choice.
something. Yeah, it is. And so no silvers, no blacks, no.
No, it has to be a color. Like if we want
Yeah.
to get really crazy, we could say primary or secondary, but
Yeah.
if that makes it easier
Blown
for
my
you.
ideas out of the water. Because I was going to go for a silver Mercedes, like a classic silver Mercedes Arrows car.
Well, that suits the car,
Yeah.
but what about like a tobacco brown? I always thought those looked great on old Mercedes cars.
And brown interior too.
Brown interior,
Like full
interior,
brown.
Yeah, so much brown.
It's a
DPS.
lot of
Actually,
brown.
how hard is it going to be to keep it clean? That's where I start. And
Brown maybe
from
the
there.
easiest thing to keep clean.
yeah, black
You know-
sure ain't.
No. I was in a real Muirblau kick. So, it's that deep, non-metallic, almost, very dark, blue on Porsche. But I think
Right.
Jeff Zwart has sort of co-opted that as his color. But that is a great color. Our buddy Tom Horan from the Grand had a GT3 Touring 991.2 that I fell in love with. If I had the money, I would have bought from him. It was just
Right.
gorgeous. So I
Well,
like that.
that it's okay if that's your color. I
Yeah.
mean, you can emulate the life at
Mr.
Swart
Green,
speed
though?
approach. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. There are a lot of things I could emulate
Right.
From him. But Brewster Green is sort of, for me, surpassing Muirblau lately. The Porsche
But
configurator.
could you commit to that if it's Brewster Green
for everything. I think I
Yeah.
could. And I would do painted wheels, right? Like,
Ooh, yeah.
you can't often you'd have to do special wishes on a Porsche to get like a green interior, especially in a GT car or something. But yeah, I think I could do Brewster Green. I've always had a thing for green cars. And you guys, I alluded to Lexus before, but you're children of the 80s and 90s, right?
Yeah. Well, they had that
know.
black jade color that was black, and then in the sunlight it was the dark green.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
BMW had that.
Oxford green.
Was that what? It was a metallic
Oh,
one too. They had like a
yes.
darker metallic. It wasn't as
Wasn't
dark
Oxford?
as black jade,
Okay.
but it was like a dark metallic green, and
Guys.
a ton of cars were that color.
There were, but there are hardly any anymore, and I think it needs to come back. But I and I'll tell you about this later. But I was invited with some of my pals to check out Blue Chip here in the Denver area, and they had some amazing cars. But one of my absolute favorite cars was they had this beautiful E39 M5, and what I think was Oxford green or something like that. And I think very few of those were made. You know, a lot of those cars were black, blue, whatever. You know.
Yeah, that wasn't an M color as much. It was more the regular 5 Series.
Such a good car. It just, you know, something about those cars. Those are just peak BMW in my mind. But anyway.
Yeah, well, because then that was immediately followed by the Bangle era, which made everybody love the preceding ones so much more.
Yeah, I still struggle.
And that was the era that BMW did those BMW films. Like the BMW advertising was on point.
Yeah,
the design was on point. The driver series, because was Clive Owen was the driver. Do you guys remember those?
Yeah, and the caboose was on point too. Those were something. Those cars. Well, what about you? So I'm going to commit to Brewster Green or some. You know, I'll tweak it just a little bit to make it my own. Call it Barky Green. But what would
there you go.
What would you?
Okay, so what popped into my head was, I don't know if you guys saw. So Bo Bachman has that pink Chroma Flare GT3 RS and they just posted a picture of when it was picked up, and I hadn't seen the interior before. Yeah. And it's, you know, it's this magenta sort of unicorn, really unique exterior. And then in the interior, he did purple leather with purple and teal plaid inserts.
Oh, stop.
Which, now that breaks my rule, obviously, but
let your freak flag fly.
Right? Like, I mean, you can always count on Bo for amazing colors. And like very bright and cheerful. I mean, he has the Bowberry Ford GT. That's that metallic pink or metallic magenta, just gorgeous. Yeah. I mean, I think I would have to go with something pinkish, but
it's
I mean, then it has to be pink interior too. If I'm following my own criteria, so I would do a whatever car it was. I would probably go with the magenta Chroma Flare exterior or the Bowberry metallic magenta, so that it was like a dark, like a raspberry interior.
That's a color they know you're coming, right? They know you're rolling up. Dan, did we get a commitment for? I mean, we were back and forth on the.
Well, if I can't have silver.
Yeah.
Then the yellows that are found, like the yellow bird. And in fact, the logo for my company, I took a sample of the yellow bird and used that yellow for the company logo.
So that's the perfect choice. Yellow,
yeah, right. That's a great color. You know, Don, the fellow who owns Porsche Colorado Springs, he's a speed yellow man. And so he has everything in speed yellow. I'm more of a signal yellow guy myself. But I appreciate that, and he's made it his own, and I could see you doing a rocking a yellow. I think
the biggest challenge is though I'd probably get double the amount of speeding tickets that two of you would get, standing out like a sore thumb.
I mean, have you seen that GT color? It is pretty notable, but I love the yellow idea because it's so cheerful, and I think it would lift your mood, even if you were having a bad day, and it would brighten everybody else's days around you. So. I think and I don't think you'd get tired of it the way you might some other colors. I think it has more staying power.
Yellow, though, guys, is a very form-specific color. And this came up, our buddy Dan McInnes, who has a Python green Spider, among other things. But he said he's not a fan of yellow cars. And I said, it's kind of car dependent. I really like signal yellow, because the color just looks so different on different, especially that speed yellow. I had a friend, rest in peace, not him, the car, a beautiful 993 C4S with the Aero kit back in the day, and I don't think I'd ever seen a cooler car up to that point, right? But like on a 991 or 992, I don't think speed yellow looks nearly as good, right? There's just too much square mileage,
not enough breaking it up.
Too much acreage, right? You got to have that. I don't know. That's a color that on bigger cars just doesn't work nearly as well. Do you remember that Miata, the NA Miata, the Sunburst or whatever you could get? It was very similar to a speed yellow or a signal yellow, right? And I said that was a cool looking thing.
I think maybe the difference is because every now and then I will see an 250 or 350 quad cab long bed raised up.
Yeah.
There's a handful of those. And the official color from the factory was called Screamin' Yellow.
Screaming Yellow. Right.
And it's sort of remarkable in its grandiosity. I think there's one in Seattle. There was one down here for a bit. And every now and then I see it. And so I wonder if it either has to be quite small or enormous.
Yeah.
Because it
right,
works.
like a school bus.
Right. But every time I see one of those trucks, I smile. Like they're just so sort of big, and maybe because it's like an adult Tonka truck.
Right. Dan, do they have school buses in the UK?
We do, but they're just like coaches.
They're not
They're
yellow.
not dedicated.
Okay, that's an American thing.
Yeah.
Because we had some friends from Germany visit us one time, and there were certain things they wanted to do. They wanted to take home an American mailbox. So like your classic red, like put on a post, kind of rounded at the top, and they had a really tough time finding a red one for whatever reason. And then they got
Is that the carry-on? Like, how do you?
Yeah, I don't know what you do with that. And then they wanted to see a school bus. Like they got really excited to see an American school bus. Like that was a real just sort of iconic American thing. It was I guess like a double-decker bus or whatever for us.
Right. It's like we all have. It shows you what your definition of another country is when you go and you're like, okay, these are the things I want to see because in my mind, this is what makes up this country.
Each his own or her own. But I think there's something to that. When you have a lot of metal, you start thinking school bus with yellow, and especially non-metallic.
Right.
So.
Well, and it's funny because this one is, you're right. Like it's not school bus yellow, but it just works. Like I think just because it's so big, but. Yeah.
Well, to bring this back to Retromobile, would you go back? And
I would.
What would you do differently, or what did you miss that you'd want to see next time? Or because I'm thinking this is a that car show field trip.
2026. I mean, at a minimum, the New York show.
Well, that makes it a little easier for sure.
That's a lot more. That's more accessible for us, obviously. But they will be at Car Week, so I will introduce you. We can hang with the boys and learn more. So I definitely would go back. It's because it's so diverse and it changes every year.
Yeah.
And I definitely didn't see everything, even though I covered a good chunk of it.
Yeah.
And and
I'll bring the pate.
Right? Paris is always a good idea. So if it's a question of do you go to Paris? Yes, you always go to Paris.
Yeah, right on.
The answer is always Paris.
Like you're thinking,
yeah.
Dan, you were saying,
awesome.
sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I think a couple of days before the show was the Fat Ice Race.
That's right.
So you could do that
in Austria.
Then go combine.
Yes, I was immediately kicking myself for not realizing that sooner, because that would be the ultimate itinerary: is go to the Fat Ice Race and then make your way to Paris, and then you're there for the Retromobile preview, and then the RM auction, because that was happening. I was in the air when that happened, so I didn't go to that one. But then you could definitely go to RM. You could go to Bonham's, and then you would still have a couple days of the event to go to, and if you went to the preview, you'd get to see a lot of it with a smaller crowd too. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I was a little disappointed speaking of Fat Ice Race, that apparently they're not doing it here in Colorado this year. Maybe it's going to be every other year thing or something. Let's not joke. That's not a race. That's a party.
It's an excuse to get together, and
there's some racing going on, but
And did you hear that at the one in Austria this year, one of the cars rolled in the ski race?
No.
One of the cars
where
was
they're
pulling
pulling
a
the people
skier.
on skis. Yeah.
And one of those cars rolled, and they managed to. Everybody got it righted and carried on its way. But can you imagine being that skier?
But it was
you're booking it,
wasn't it?
What's
like
that?
you think about the cars that they had there. Luckily, it was a Beetle, I think, that rolled.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So they were able to just flip it over and carry on.
That's right.
Imagine if it was a
Nazi
300
technology.
Imagine if it was a Ferrari 400.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In green.
That already looks like a pancake, so it's
right.
It's shoot.
Yeah. It was remarkable.
Sounds like an awesome time.
It was
against squad goals.
Right? I know. You were both very missed. It would have been amazing to have you with me. One thing that I wanted to say about Bonham, or that I wanted to share about Bonham, so they had these 5 cars displayed up above outside at the Grand Palais, and the history and the experiences of those cars combined was unbelievable. And one of them was a Ferrari 166 Barchetta, which is the car that I drove behind when I drove the Cobra in June for the car show. I was following a 166 Barchetta. So I walked up to, these 5 cars and I went, wait a minute, I've been on the road with one of these.
That's awesome.
A couple of them. So there was a Ferrari. What's interesting, and I want to find out more about this because it had 2 years listed. It said 54 to 55. Ferrari, it said Tipo 555 F1 Racing single seater.
Okay.
So I don't know why it would have a year range. I need to look into that more.
They may have competed it in 2 seasons of Formula One.
Rebodied it, maybe.
Oh, that would make sense. Yeah, that's a good theory. But and seeing that combination of cars in that setting, and then those cars are still actively being driven. A lot of them had Mille Miglia stickers. They had Monaco rally stickers from all over Europe. And I mean, one of them had 10 or 20 stickers on it. So they're being driven to this day.
Well, this conversation I mentioned with Eric Meinhof of Bonhams and our pal Maurice, they hit on something that I don't think is talked about enough. But it's something that has we talk a lot about within the grand circles. But a car's value with all now the events. So you've got the California Mille, the Colorado Grand, the Mille Miglia, all these other things. Years and cutoffs. Like you can have one model, but if it's a year too new, you can't run it, right? In one of these events, and that can affect the value by 50% in some cases, right? It's really interesting. This has become such a thing now to run these cars, which is awesome, right? It's what the cars want, right?
Yeah, it's very in line with all of our philosophies.
Yeah, really interesting how it's affected values, and this Eric made a good point too. If the car originally ran in the event, that even extra points, right?
That'd be amazing.
But he gave an example of one car where you get a 64 version or whatever, and it's a $30,000 car, and you get a 59 version, and it's an $80,000 car or whatever. So it's interesting, and I think that experiential stuff, whether it's the Fat Ice Race, whether it's any of these rallies, these tours, that's kind of where it's at, right? And so I think any of these cars that are eligible are just that's where that's where you should put your money. But that's my 2 cents.
Yeah,
I do wonder if there'll be some rallies that'll be for newer cars, right? We've talked about this before. The Colorado Grand, it's 1960 and older, right? And that is not a sliding scale. That will always be. But when the Grand started, I think in 1989, a 1960 car that was less than 30 years old, and you think about what a 30-year-old car is now. It's a car from the 90s. Like that's crazy, right? So I don't know. Maybe we need to start our own rally.
Well,
I'll run Berettas.
Open to bribes.
Right. GMC Typhoons.
If anyone has a GNX that they want to let me drive, I'd be open to that. That'd be
now none of us can afford those because Kendrick Lamar, right? And was I the only one that was bothered by him walking on it? Or is that just
did you see the clip of the detailer who had worked on it?
Oh no.
After the show. So it's an independent guy in LA, and he said he was contacted a couple months before the Super Bowl, and they didn't tell him whose car it was, didn't give him any details. They may have told him it was for the Super Bowl, but just like, hey, could you work on this car and prep it? So he said he worked on it for 6 hours, and as he was working on it, he kind of put together who it was and what was going on. And then he said, so he worked on it for 6 hours, got it immaculate and beautiful. They shipped it off, and then he was watching the show going, and he's standing on the roof. Oh, and he's standing on the hood. Oh, he's scratching.
What was that beautiful E30 M3 that Zuckerman had that ended up in a hip-hop video?
Was it Travis Scott?
Yeah, that's what it was. It was like one of the best examples, most original low mileage examples in the world, and like
painful.
I don't even I struggle with junkyards and things, right? Because I don't like the cars. I attach an emotion, to them or whatever. Yeah. Just, but at the same time, I'm glad to see these cars out and driven too, right? In the rallies and such. But anyway, so.
Well, and of course I found a 289 Cobra.
Did you?
Turned around. They had a line of cars below this magical display, and there was a Cobra, and then they were loading a Porsche 930 into the transport. So that was kind of fun to see too. So yeah.
I take a 289 over 427, says the man who's driven neither.
You are correct. Although
Okay.
I want to drive a 427 before I.
Yeah.
Yeah. Since I've only driven a 289, I can say that's absolutely the right answer.
Anything else to put a bow on Retromobile? I'm not even trying
It
to
was
say it in
just
French.
magical. Retromobile.
That's so cool. You got a
That's
chance.
as well as I can do.
It's like one day you weren't. No, I hadn't heard a thing, and the next day you were on a plane. It was awesome. We were rooting for
Yeah,
you.
it was. Sometimes everything just lines up at the very last second, and you find yourself in Paris for 2.25 days.
That's. Well, I'm going to segue Paris to Paris
let's do it.
to Dakar. Haha! See what I did there, Dan? You mentioned, I didn't know this, that the Dakar, the Porsche Dakar or Dakar, however you want to say it, and I say it different ways, different days apparently. One of my driving highlights over the last couple of years, I fell in love with the thing. It's a car I would buy if I had the budget in the garage. But you said they're going to do a new one. It's been confirmed, and it's a hybrid.
There's rumors.
Rumored. Okay. I know who we can ask. Yeah.
But the Dakar is based on the GTS, and we know that the GTS is now a hybrid. So the rumors that are literally in the last couple of days are that they'll do I guess it's a 992.2 Dakar, and incorporate that hybrid technology.
Well,
Ooh.
I think they're still selling for way above sticker, right? $100,000 or something, right? So it makes all the sense, I'm glad I don't own one of the earlier ones, but maybe I would be, right? Being NA, but hey, they'll sell everyone they can make, right? I mean, it's an awesome concept, right?
So what does that get you? Do you think that gets you a little bit more range, like miles to the gallon, and a little bit better performance? Because it's a really small hybrid engine, isn't it? Battery.
Yeah, I think it's more of a performance thing, right? I mean, but I think you can go battery only for 5 miles or something, right? And at least you can on the current hybrids, and so there's that. And
did you
But
feel
yeah,
that
it's
car
nominal
needed-
range.
Yeah.
Did it need more performance when you had it?
I didn't think so. It definitely doesn't have, because I had driven, the day I drove, spent some time in that one, thanks Porsche Colorado Springs. I was in a 992 Carrera S, also PDK. And it definitely eats what's the difference in power? I think the 0.1, it's not a lot, 40 horsepower.
Like, did you feel it when you were in the cars?
I felt like they felt similar, right? And I think because you've got the big tall tires and stuff, right? I mean, it probably saps a little bit of that rotational mass and all that. But I also feel like you're not, at least I wasn't comfortable in pushing it the same way that I was the standard car, right? Just, it was a very expensive car. It wasn't mine. It was raining out, right? But I kind of have a sense of the standard car, the Dakar. You're just, you're sitting up higher and all that. But no, I thought that was a very strong, it felt like the right amount of power. I guess that's the more important question, right? It felt like the right amount of power. And I don't know if a hybrid would take away or not. I'm sure it wouldn't, right? It's such a seamless thing. But no, I don't think it lacked for power. My 2 cents. But,
No, that's the rumor right now.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Watch this space.
Yeah. The problem with Porsches, guys, sorry, I'm going to go for a little rant here.
Careful, you'll lose an allocation.
What is it? Rant is coming.
Here's the thing: you can get an allocation, but it's still going to cost you, right? And as we learned from John and Justin, but they've just gotten so expensive. And it's just, I think it's another reason I probably have this GT4 forever, because it's probably the last of the cheap GT cars, right? This thing has 6,000 in options. You can't do 6,000 in options on a Porsche anymore, right? I mean,
no, that's like half of one
because
option.
it's packages, right? It's packages now, right? And if you want the lightweight seats, and if you want the special, it's just, and before you know it, you're adding 50% or more to the cost of the car, and I just, it doesn't change the driving experience. And here's the thing: if you can't spec one, if you don't get an allocation, you're buying something that's been spec'd for you, and you're not buying too many, base cars right off a lot, right? So that is my biggest thing. I've just had it's like everything, eggs, whatever. But I've had real sticker shock lately, pricing out Porsches, like at least in the configurators. So I imagine even a sticker on a new Dakar is going to be, I don't know what, 250, 300. I don't know.
I think it's over 3. I think.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know about sticker or like used prices right now.
Yeah.
But,
Maybe both. But
and maybe they won't do a limited because at the moment they're a limited run, right?
yeah, or effectively limited, right? That's.
I think they're all numbered.
Allegedly.
I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so maybe, hopefully they, imagine if they didn't do it as a limited car.
Yeah.
But,
would one appeal over the other to either of you? I mean, would you rather have the NA or? I'm not a hybrid hater.
No, I don't have any strong feelings about hybrids either way. I think NA is just more what I'm familiar with. So I'd probably, but I would want to drive both of them.
Yeah.
Make an informed decision.
I've got no liking of my neighbours or dislike, so that's the only application I could see.
Of the hybrid of the Dakar?
Well, going on battery, so you don't wake the neighbours up, but I don't care.
What's that song? Wake Up the Neighbors? Anyway, yeah.
I think when you're in a building where that matters, or a neighborhood that matters, it's sort of, there's an implied, all right, you're not living out in the country, right?
Get letters from the HOA and stuff.
Yeah. Well, all right. For the record, I love the Dakar. I don't care if it's NA or hybrid. Give me one tomorrow. I just can't afford
You'll just take one. Well, so you're spending a lot of time on the Porsche configurator. Any particular models that you're focused on?
I mean, I would love a new GT3 Touring. I would. It'd be one thing if you could go in and get one for sticker. Even that I can't afford. But there's $100,000 markup, right? If you're gonna get one. And our friends John and Justin from Porsche Colorado Springs said, you're getting a wing car. You're not even getting a Touring. So that's out of my league. But it is fun to configure. It is cool that now they have all the, the paint, the sample colors and stuff, although highly inaccurate on screen, but I don't know what you're supposed to do about that. But man, you can spend so much money so quickly, I mean, it's just, it's wild, but that's, I guess, what I would get in the current lineup if it wasn't an ST, right?
Oh yeah.
But
that's a good choice.
I went into a dealer last week, so I've been thinking about downsizing the Corolla and just getting a Boxster or something. Really? Maybe. So my previous experiences, and I'll keep the dealer anonymous, but I will say it's part of the Auto Nation group.
Oh, boy.
And I went in and asked for the chap I'd always worked with, and Ron was the guy, and Ron's always been great. Like when I thought that my Corolla wasn't going to appear, I was talking to Ron, and Ron walked me over to the sister dealership, which is a Mercedes dealership, which is next door. And he took me through a couple of used cars they had. So the point here is that he invested time with me, even though, one, I'd potentially bought a car, and two, he was thinking about the long-term relationship, which is obviously what the guys do down in Porsche Colorado Springs, and we talked about that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I went in to ask for Ron. Ron no longer works at the dealership. So I got talking to another gentleman who will be anonymous. And I said to him, I hear that you may have a SLK 55 AMG, but I'm looking at something like a Boxster and stuff. So I guess the first point of the story is that he didn't listen to me. So what I mean by he didn't listen to me is I said, well, I used to have a 2009 Boxster S. I loved it. Anyway, a 2009 car pulled into the car park, and he started to explain to me why that 2009 was better than a base previous model, and I went, well, yeah, I used to own one. I know. But the biggest
I agree.
Also, don't you know who I am? Like, come on,
Well, it's just a listen. It's an exercise in listening, right? So anyway, 2 days ago, or maybe yesterday, I saw that they had a 1999 911 for sale that had just come in with the body kit, had the taco wing on the back.
Nice. That's kind of rare, yeah.
I got a perspective from Mr. Dicey, and he spent a bit of time telling me what to look out for, what not to look out for.
Shout out Dicey.
So then I texted the gentleman, and maybe we called him Stephen for this exercise. And let me find the text because it was quite funny. So
at the Seattle Auto Nation Mercedes dealership,
and next door.
Okay.
Hi, what's the situation with the 1999 911? Just come in, possibly at Mercedes next door. Do you know anything about this car? I don't. It looks like they took it in on trade. Gotcha. Would it be possible to get some pictures of it? For that one, you'll have to call Mercedes. So whereas Ron previously would have probably got me the pictures.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He was not interested at all in.
John or Justin, you want something down at the Jeep dealership, they'll go down and take a picture for you.
Right.
I mean, come
Right.
on, you know?
So,
It's long-term versus some people have vision, and this chap apparently did not.
Yeah, this is when you find a good one, you got to stick with it, whether it's a dealer, whether it's a salesperson, a service writer, whatever, mechanic. It's friends.
That's my dealership story of the week.
Well,
bring back Ron.
Yeah, Ron, wherever you
sucks,
are.
you know? I
Ron,
mean, it's just like,
where have you gone?
take my money, right? You know, come on.
Yeah.
At that Jeep, aforementioned Jeep dealer, you may run into something that I didn't know was a thing until you told us both tonight, Dan. Jeep has apparently crossed a line you just don't cross with their customers. Something that boggles my mind if it's true. What's Jeep
it's
doing?
definitely true because there's evidence. But do you remember when BMW said, I think we're going to do a subscription service for seats?
Yes.
With the heated seats.
All the hardware's there now.
Yeah, right.
But you weren't going to be able to activate
pay like a monthly amount, right?
Yeah, you have to activate the feature.
It appears like Jeep have said, hold my beer. Because...
hold my American watery...
Hold my Budweiser.
Beer.
Because some Jeep owners, as they're driving along in their cars, are getting pop-up ads on their screens.
I mean, that's just wild.
So does it say that it's happening while the cars are moving?
Yeah. And this is Jeep trying to upsell. And Jeep have said it's a glitch. But come on, you don't get something on the screen that says, purchase peace of mind, Mopar vehicle protection.
Wait, so you have to hit a button in some cars that says, I accept the liability of using this infotainment system, but apparently an unsolicited pop-up ad is okay.
While you're driving.
And they'll let you do a Bluetooth call. So it's obviously a planned motion.
Yeah.
But,
because you have to, the ad has to be created. Like somebody wrote the ad and produced it.
Yeah, it's not Max Headroom popping up.
Well, and that violates NHTSA guidelines. Like this was a huge part of when my role at Zevo was creating the in-app content. And that was a huge topic for discussion
Really?
Because one of the features of the platform that we were creating was that it could suggest offers like as you move through your day to make your life easier. Like if it knows you've just finished work, picked up the kids at soccer, and you're headed home for dinner, and there's a pizza restaurant on the way that has a great deal, it could let you know that. But the crux of it is like, okay, but we can't do that while they're driving because we can't distract them.
Interesting.
So what I'm wondering is, because, NHTSA guidelines too, that governs how much text can be on the screen, how many steps a feature can take, because it's every time you take your eyes off the screen, it's 2 seconds, or it can be no more than 2 seconds of your eyes off the road.
Yeah.
Which is still a really long time if you're at freeway speed. Yes. And so I wonder if the ads are supposed to be appearing when the vehicle is stopped, but maybe that's the glitch.
But they shouldn't be appearing at all. And I suppose it's line item written into,
like if it's at a stoplight, they can show it to you if the vehicle, because like there's some features in my truck where I can't do, like I can't go through the pairing process if it's in motion.
Right.
But if I'm stopped, that kind of stuff, because it's more involved. So there's a way to control when you have access to certain features or when things appear, because they can tell when the vehicle's moving or not. So it'll be curious to see how this unfolds, because I wonder whether it's true or not, if they're going to say, well, they should only have been showing when it was at a light or a stop sign or something.
Yeah.
Because they had to make the ads.
Yeah, and I'm like envisioning trying to like get the little X in the top right corner to get it to go away.
Right.
It's just like, that is just wild. And it seems wildly dangerous, and it seems wildly unethical and just bad business. And, you think they, I know Jeep's a little slow sometimes, but you think they would learn from BMW, right? That is just wild.
You can't be serving things to people while they're moving, because that's the peak of distracted driving.
It these days. God.
Yeah. And if you could, Tesla would have monopolized it already, right?
Yeah. like the Polestar that we have that it never shut up about because I really do like it for what it is. When you get in and it knows that it's 8 a.m, it knows you're going to school. So on the nav, it'll pop up. That's the first suggestion, right? Okay, that makes sense. That's additive, right?
Is that an Apple thing or is that a Polestar thing?
No, so there is Apple CarPlay, but only if you connect your phone through a wired connection, which is interesting.
Wow. Really?
But honest to God, we don't miss it because they have their own proprietary system and it's effectively the same, you know.
Well, and if it's predictive and it's offering helpful stuff, would you like the traffic on the route that I know you drive on weekdays in the morning? That's super helpful.
It is. I found a cool little thing, which probably the last person in the world who drives a Polestar has figured out because it's literally a button on the steering wheel. But do you remember Saab? And do you remember, I hope you do. Saab
Does it have a ka-chow button?
What is ka-chow? It's,
in Lightning McQueen, in cars, he has a ka-chow button.
No, but it has effectively a dark mode button, right? So do you remember in old Saabs, you could do a dark mode, so it would dim everything but like the speedometer and a couple.
Wasn't that a dial you would like?
I thought it was a button, like it was, but it may be different models or whatever. Yeah, and so this has a button. It's not quite dark mode, because you still have the screen in the middle, but it basically simplifies the screen in front of you, the dash, right? So that
like what it displays.
Right. So it defaults to like having a second map, which, I guess is good. But you hit this button and then you basically just get the very basic instruments. It's really, I don't know, it's very like Scandinavian and nice. And now it's my preferred driving environment.
I'm wondering, just on a different tangent, if we can reach out to Jeep and get them to put an advert for this show on the cars.
Is that our target?
A new podcast?
Is that our target audience?
Well,
hey, Daimler Chrysler people, have we got the show for you?
Welcome to the most distracting podcast you'll hear today.
I'm really going for that Hornet market personally, right?
That's the demographic you think.
That's the one I want.
Yeah. I think the only thing I just want to confirm that we're not liable if an ad for our podcast pops up and somebody has an incident while they're going to try and turn the podcast on.
Definitely a Jeep problem.
They see our headshots and they're distracted one way or the other.
Yeah, like, look at this. Who are these people?
Just when you think some of these American car companies can't fuck it up more, there they go. It's just like that is just so, wow.
Man.
Wow.
And that's
Tesla should have been the one.
Right. Yeah. I suspect what they did is they built it into the systems, but didn't want to release it.
Yeah.
And they've accidentally done something to release it.
Yeah.
So like the functionality was always there in the background.
Yeah.
And something's happened and
somebody checked the wrong box.
I'm not down with that at all.
Well, hopefully they get that sorted before there are any issues, because that's crazy.
But I'm hearing I'm reading articles about like Jeep engines, like dying at 4 miles, and I just feel like there's some real issues. And then what they were talking about on the latest Spike's Car Radio, wasn't that a Jeep plant or something where there was a problem with someone in a bathroom? I don't want to go into details, but I just think there are larger issues there. Maybe they shouldn't focus on pop-up ads and focus on the fundamentals for a minute. And I like Jeeps. I like the idea of a Wrangler, I
loved my Jeep.
It's
such an adventure vehicle.
There's something about it, right? I drove one from Denver to LA and back, and we stopped in Moab and did some light off-roading. It was a hell of a good time. It's just, no death wobble or anything. I really enjoyed the thing. But then there's that kind of stuff, right? There's unknowns or... it's just, I don't want to roll the dice, So, anyway.
Dan, did you have a Wrangler?
Yes, the Rubicon. It was...
You've owned a lot of cars.
I don't know about that, but this was 2018, so it was the newer shape. The only thing I did to it is I got them to put a bigger brake kit on it.
Oh,
so nice. They do from the factory. They do a bigger brake kit in case you're going to do lifted wheels, like the bigger wheels. I didn't put bigger wheels on it, but I just felt the brakes needed something, so I just paid. I think it was $1,000 at the time to get a bigger brake kit on it. But lots of adventures. It wasn't, it handled like a boat, but that didn't matter. It took me across multiple states, and I slept in it a couple of times.
Yeah,
really.
It was a great
vehicle. Well, we know how Dan loves sleeping in cars.
Yes. It was more comfortable than the Ford Edge.
One way or another, Dan will find a way to sleep in the car.
And sometimes when I'm lying awake, ruining my life decisions or whatever, and I can't sleep, I think about sleeping in that. What was it? A GMC Terrain? What was that?
No,
a Traverse.
Ford Edge.
Oh, Ford Edge. That's what it was. They all blend
This was
together.
Pikes Peak last year, right? And we got up early to go up the mountain and realized that we got a good parking space, but there was nothing going on for a few hours. So we slept in the car.
Yeah.
But
All
I
three of you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I opened up the boot and just lied in the boot.
Yeah.
It was magical.
Yeah, it was kind of that weird sort of like, if you're a kid and you go to the dentist and they give you, what do they call it? Butterfly gas or whatever. It's and it kind of knocks you out halfway, it's kind of like that, right?
Yeah, you're kind of in a
Twilight
zone.
Yeah.
Twilight, yeah, poppers, right? That's what that
no
was.
poppers consumed during that trip.
Unfortunately,
probably could have used
right?
one, but yeah, that's. That was a great time. I see that media credentials are coming up for Pikes Peak. So,
Yes, I've started getting the emails.
I don't have to. If you either one of you want to make a, it's no retromobile, but we had a good time. Won't even make you sleep in a car.
Just go to all the events, right? There's no discrimination.
Yeah.
They're all
What
amazing.
I think this podcast needs is we need a airline sponsor. We need a car rental sponsor.
Spirit Airlines, where are you?
Yeah, and then maybe a hotel sponsor.
Yeah.
And that way our lives would be a million times
Absolutely.
easier.
Right.
So if you're listening, Spirit or Delta or
please not
whoever.
Spirit. Please not Spirit.
British Airways,
Motel
Alaska.
8? Motel 8, is that someone?
Who is that?
Motel 8?
Oh,
That's still aim high, guys. Come on.
Aim high. The microtel is always an option, right?
Yeah.
The Roadway Inn.
If you want a hotel room with nothing but fluorescent lighting, that's your move, right? Anyway, is that a show, guys? Is that a show?
I think it is.
Damn near an hour.
Yeah.
Was
I think
fun.
we've reached that point.
I think we've reached that point.
Yeah,
All right.
We know we're going to France next year.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Maybe Pikes Peak. Maybe a Motel 8. Is it Motel 8 or Motel 6?
Maybe it's Motel 6.
Motel 6. Okay. Yeah. It's more of a 6 than an 8.
Yeah. Tops out at
on
a
a
6.
good day.
All right. On that note,
Always be driving.
that's right. Till next time.
You'll get there one day, Ryan. I believe in you.
This week, Lindsay doesn't miss a beat with dispatches from both Airwater and the exclusive Slate truck launch. Dan discovers that he's not really a Bronco Raptor guy, despite his hairy chest and tough guy demeanor. I get bougie and bolder with the fuel fed set, and we debate the car we'd choose from hell's own rental counter. It's That Car Show. The kids are all right, and we are coming for your forerunners, Eli.
Right, well, welcome to this week's episode of That Car Show. The gang is all here, but I wanted to start off by introducing a phrase and a little bit of information. In the UK, we have a phrase called parish notices. What does that mean? Well, that means it's a traditional British phrase that's often used to make a few announcements before things start. So in British tradition, I'm going to start with some parish notices. And the very first one, you guys will be using it in all the meetings that you go to, and it'll be like, what's this? I've become more British.
It beats housekeeping.
Yeah.
It does.
Right?
It really does. I love it. All right, let's hear it.
So, I want to hear where you've used it. So firstly, on a serious note, on the 28th of April, the legendary engine builder Ed Pink passed away. And we just wanted to send our respects. I don't think any of us actually knew Ed himself, but we were familiar with his work. We were aware that he had a reputation and was known as the old master. I think anyone in life, if you get a reputation, you get some sort of recognition as being called the old master. You know that you've really kind of hit your craft and made it. We didn't know him, but we did know the impact of his work. You know, he built engines for IndyCar, for Porsche, some of the Kramer engines, Interscope engines, and more recently, he worked on the Singer DLS. Is that right?
Yep.
I always get that phrase.
And the Emery cars.
The Emery cars. So we send our respects to his family. He also passed away at the age of 94. So, as we would say in England, a fantastic innings, referring to cricket. So that was the first one. The second parish notice, and I'm going to wear a dog collar next week, I think, is that we had a lot of people on the social medias either give us feedback, they shared some of our posts, and I just wanted everyone to know that didn't go unnoticed. We're incredibly grateful of everyone who, has shown, real interest in this podcast really early on. So thank you. Please keep going. Please, continue to subscribe and add comments, reviews, all that sort of stuff really helps us. But thank you for everyone so far.
Right. And
Is this where I say amen?
Yes, it is. And I wanted to say specific thank you to my friend Wendy, her Instagram is Brit Porsche Girl. She has been an immediate early supporter and just so genuine. And I think friend of the show, Tory Alonso as well. Like they've both been immediately on board and genuine and very helpful, and we appreciate it.
So you said Wendy?
Yes.
So Wendy's going to get the parish notices straight away without any explanation, isn't she?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and Wendy lives in Sheffield.
Ah.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Do they make watches up there?
We've heard. I mean, I think we know a guy, right?
By proxy, yeah.
So last week was a big week in the car world, and in particular, a new manufacturer came to the table, and they brought potentially what is going to be one of the most revolutionary cars to market, to awareness. And we were lucky enough that Lindsay was there on site, got an invite to the press launch. So Lindsay, tell us all about Slate Automotive.
So Slate Automotive, they had their reveal on Thursday night. It was at the Long Beach airport in one of the warehouses there. And it was very, cloak and dagger. You had to respond with a password to RSVP.
You didn't even tell us, for the record.
I didn't tell anybody. I had my dear friend Derek Powell. Everybody knows Derek Powell. I feel like there needs to be a bell.
Hey, Derek.
When we say Derek Powell. So Derek and I knew that we were going. He was the only person that I even acknowledged that I was going to. Everybody else found out after. So anyway, was thrilled to be there, thrilled to be included. Our friend Kat Saville, who was at the Peterson, included me. She was at Tesla. Now she's at Slate. And so they had several of their executives, the head of design, Tisha Snyder, Jeremy Snyder, who's the CCO. And Tisha, I don't know that that's her last name now that I think about it, because they're not related. So they may have the same last name and I didn't pick up on it. So I apologize if that's not the right name, but she's the head of design. And it was really fun to see a woman speaking. And then their CEO is a woman, Chris Barman. And they all spoke about the company and the mission, and that they want to bring an EV option to the under 25,000 range of the market, because there's a lot of people that would be interested, but so far EVs have been inaccessible to them simply because of the cost. And so it's under 25,000 after government rebates. The trucks are all assembled in the US, and they have 4 different variations. They have a single cab, it's like a short bed pickup truck. But then you can either configure it and have Slate assemble it the way that you want it, or you can buy the pickup truck itself and buy the parts and put it together yourself also, which is an interesting concept.
Will that still be under warranty?
So that was part of the discussion afterwards with several of my friends who are automotive journalists in LA was, if you have people that are installing it themselves, how does that impact, or does it impact, can you still claim that you have a 5-star crash rating? Like if you're not the one installing it, where does it change to, well, this was an aftermarket part. So that's one of the early stage kind of like, okay, there's definitely some questions that people have, but in general, I think everybody loves the idea of expanding the accessibility of EVs. And this one is particularly cool because it's so versatile. There's the single cab pickup truck. Then you can add a shell on the back and a second row seat, and it makes it kind of a new Bronco 2-row SUV, very similar. Yes, I said Bronco. What are we, 3 minutes in, and I've already said Bronco?
This week. Yeah. So I'll be listening out.
Then they have another one where you can add a second row seat and basically roll bars, so it makes it kind of Wrangler-esque, or new Bronco, where they make the overlanding type. Oh, we have a new buzzer this week, I think. And then the last one reminded me of either the big Range Rover or Range Rover Sport because it has a cab on the back, but it's sloping. So it's another 2-row SUV, but the lines are a little more luxury SUV. So there's all different configurations. You can add, different levels of trim. You can design a wrap. You can have Slate apply it. You can do it yourself.
It's a modular sort of take it to the extreme.
It's very modular. Yeah. And so you can design it to fit your life and what you need. So one of the things that they talked about is that, the way they describe it is that they're built in the U.S., assembled in the U.S.
And not just the U.S., but Indiana. That's like extra U.S.
Right, exactly.
Extra America. Yeah.
Ultra America, exactly. So they say that they are manufactured here. One of the points of discussion afterwards among the people in attendance was some of the parts, the U.S. has not had the capability to actually make those parts in 30 years.
Yeah, but that's anything, right?
Right, exactly. So it's a little bit semantics because they are being assembled here, which is super cool. And, that I love to see that because obviously, hopefully it helps create jobs and all of that. I think that's only positive. So it's more like you can parse out what your definition of manufactured versus assembled.
Right.
And then, definitely some early stage questions, but their team, listening to them was really inspiring.
Yeah.
They all have several of the executives and a lot of the team have EV experience, especially at Tesla. So they've been in the space for a long time. They've seen an organization like that grow. And I think they're applying everything they've learned, what to do and what not to do. And they just really seemed excited to bring this to the market. And it was really, really well done. The excitement, everybody was very palpable. Some people had seen spy shots. They had they dropped one in Venice, California the week before. And again, I'm not telling anybody. So I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? So I sent it to Derek and I'm like, is this what I think it is? What's going on here?
How big is this thing? What is this?
It's not big.
Scene here.
It's tiny.
Because I'm sort of under the impression it's the size of one of the old school Ford Rangers or something, if not the new one.
I think it's in between. It's like a light truck size.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it the Suzuki Jimny, the new one?
Not that small, right?
It's not that small, but it's definitely it's light truck class. It's not a full size pickup truck, and I think that is going to be. I think that's going to help because it may have a broader audience. Not everybody wants to drive a full size pickup truck, or doesn't need it necessarily.
Dan, can you ask our off-camera assistant when the last car available in the U.S. was where you could opt for roll-down windows versus electric windows? Because I believe that you can actually get roll-down windows. That's how functional this thing is.
That I don't remember.
Yeah, because
but it's possible.
This is very much a form follows function vehicle, probably more than just about anything else we've seen. I think we have a lot of vehicles that are designed to look that way, right? But this really is, I wouldn't say it's the prettiest thing in the world, but I kind of love it for that.
Right. It's sort of, it's so functional. It's cute.
Yeah.
And it's and the size, it's very adorable. And it's like the little engine that could, because it's I'm here and I'm super capable. What's not to love? And they had a great swag bag at the event, and we got.
What was in this swag bag?
Well, we got.
For those of us who weren't invited.
That was part of the mystique. They said in the RSVP form, they said, if we were to surprise you with something with your name or whatever, what would you put on it, and what size are you?
Oh.
So we got jackets with whatever name or phrase or whatever you wanted embroidered on them. And then we got Slate hats and then a really fun little activity book, which my junior car reviewer immediately took. And then, and just there were a lot of, who's who of LA automotive media, Mark Vaughn, who does a radio show and he's written for Auto Week. And then Derek Powell, obviously, and John and Mira Choldenko and Jeff Glucker of Hooniverse and Sean Winograd from Car and Driver, and I think Motor Trend maybe, and Kat, and then a lot of
fantastic.
People. That was great.
So
what did you learn, Dan?
Yeah,
I kind of feel like we should be paying our researchers. I know we're not at the minute, so let's maybe all chip together and tip them a little bit. You won't believe the last time. Let's just start with a year. So the last car you could buy with roll-down windows, the car stopped selling in 2023. So up to 2023,
Okay.
you could still buy a car with roll-down windows.
It's a
new
car versus a light truck.
Well, I mean, it's a Wrangler Sport, so it's both, right?
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
that
That
makes
makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But a
Okay, so
couple-
you could buy a new car, 2023, brand new,
Yeah,
roll down windows.
a
Okay.
Wrangler Sport. And
I
an
will be
honorable mention to the Chevrolet Spark, the base LS trim, had manual windows but was discontinued in 2022.
Have either of you driven a Chevy Spark?
I have not. Have you?
And those
I'd rather walk.
stuck around way too long. 2022. They were. Would you say? Dan?
I think I would rather walk.
Well, no. That's it. I think that is a viable alternative.
Fair
If you've ever,
assessment?
they're tiny. If you've ever been in a Lotus Elise, if you're driving,
Yeah.
your shoulder will be next to the shoulder of your passenger, and that's the only
Right.
other car that I've ever driven and had that experience.
Well,
They're
isn't that what
just-
they said about the Gordon Murray car, though? That when Dario was driving it, like I know Johnny said, I thought he had to put his arm around Dario almost to sit in the passenger seat.
Well, that's different, Lindsay.
No, aren't they?
You're in a
crazy?
Gordon Murray car. I'll do whatever. I'll sit on someone's lap in the Gordon Murray car, but a Chevy Spark.
Right. Did you ever think you'd hear a Chevy Spark and a Gordon Murray car in the same sentence?
Not at all. Not at all.
So yeah, it was great that you were there, Lindsay, and
it's cool.
It was cool to be at the forefront of the action.
Happy to
Can we-
represent the team, right?
I do have
Yeah.
more questions, though, if I may.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is a rear-wheel drive only vehicle, at least at first, or can you opt in a front, like an all-wheel drive module? Or
So they didn't go
Just to
into that
come-
much detail
okay.
at the launch, but so I don't know about that specifically.
because I'm thinking,
Great question.
rear-wheel drive electric truck donuts, right? Yeah.
What's not to love?
Yeah, and anything about it where you think they missed the mark? Like, was it? I'm shocked that they kept it the secret that they did, really, for as long as they
It's
did.
really remarkable because
Yeah,
I know
that's worth something.
certain people have known about it for years at this point.
Yeah,
So-
like you.
Well, no, I mean, yes, you're absolutely right. That's exactly correct. No, I think as they start to roll out that those types of things, you might go, oh, they could have done that differently. But at least for right now, because it is still, it's not a concept, like they will
Yeah.
be building them, but because it's not live yet, everything so far seems like it's aligned with what they are trying to deliver.
And hella timing with the tariffs, Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
It's probably a conversation there for future
Yeah,
episode.
the man can build a rocket and launch a car, huh?
There we go.
that's right.
And that's political as we're going to get. It reminds me like if IKEA made cars.
Yeah, it's that idea. It's like you take only what you need almost,
Yeah.
and you can
Basics.
like heavily configurable to whatever your purpose is. I mean, that part of it is incredible because there's
Yeah.
so many people that have different needs and jobs, and to find something that you can customize exactly for what you want, that's the only vehicle like that new right now without having to do a bunch of work.
I think they're great. I'd love to have one as a third car, go to the hardware store and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to throw a bag of mulch into the Porsche or the Polestar, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I
bring,
just
bring
realized
on the slate.
we talked so much about, rebodying when Logan was on and how much that happened.
Right.
And I'm sure you could do a version of rebodying with the Slate. Like, so this might be the new coach build.
Wouldn't even have to be a truck, right?
No, like you could decide for whatever reason, I don't need the pickup truck right now, or maybe
Yeah.
you can go back and forth.
Yeah.
And that would mean that Ryan would have to update his article about convertible electrics, maybe.
The master of the Segway.
There we go. I got it in there.
Nice
So are we
idea.
getting, is it $10 per mention of the fact that he's a published writer? Is that how this is going to work?
Yeah. Make
Yeah.
it if you speak it, it's so, right?
Here we go. I think that works. That works.
Manifesting, baby, all the way.
Now, in Denver, I think there was a launch. Is that right, Ryan? You attended the launch of, it was a kickoff. Was it fuel-fed kickoff?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
like we're
So with one good link, I then do a bad link, right?
I love Colorado. Not a whole lot of new car, launches here, though. Apparently, I know Slate Motors was like Denver, LA, Denver, LA.
Hotly contested debate about where to do it.
Yeah, you know how much I love Fuel Fed, and Fuel Fed is this group that I've been a member of since I was the very beginning back in Chicago. Now they have an arm down in Fort Lauderdale, and then Mike Burrows started up Fuel Fed Boulder out here a few years ago. And for a group that's still kind of under the radar, it was a huge turnout. We had a beautiful day. I think this was the first year that they did this with the blessing of the city, right? Lesson learned, if you want to do something, don't ask for permission, right? If you want to build that addition to your house, you start building it, then well, now we're building it. You can't tell us to stop now. And that's kind of what they did, right? Obviously, this is a much more benign sort of, beneficial sort of event. But yeah, sure enough, they had the official barricades and a couple streets open, much more room. And the cars that show up are just incredible. Obviously, there's some good money in Boulder, right? But also the enthusiast scene is incredible, and just it's always amazing what rolls up. And just seeing all the friends and folks you haven't seen all winter, it was just great. It was great. I only wished I'd had stickers to hand out for that car show. Those didn't arrive till today. If you want one, slide into our DMs, I guess, and we will send some off, or just find us at the next Fuel Fed event, or Crystal Cove, or Exotics, exactly. Right, in Seattle. So, but to bring it back to Fuel Fed, just a great event. If you're in Colorado, I mean, it's worth a drive. It's, I think, once a month now through fall on Pearl Street in Boulder, and it was just fantastic. There was a Testarossa next to a TR, right? A 512 TR. So I've never been able to sort of compare and contrast,
and especially in real life with your own, in person.
Yeah. It's, and you realize, there's some significant differences, right? Like the engine cover in the back is painted black on the 512 TR, and it's also about half the height. You don't pick up on that stuff seeing one, in isolation, right?
The lights are front. At the front, the lights are different, aren't they? That's the
lights are different.
From pop-up to glass perspex behind.
Yeah. And then there was, what was that final 512 TR that had the twist wheels and everything? It was the really special one. I don't know what that was.
Was it an M?
It was the M. That's what it was. Yeah. That's what it was. So maybe next Fuel Fed, there'll be one of those and you can see them all, but just stuff you just don't see anywhere else. I've got a buddy who brought his Lotus Elite, right? I don't know. That's where you'll see an Ariel Atom or, a random vintage Bugatti, may or may not be drifted for Logan, but, it's just...
That's an elite group.
It's one of the special events that hasn't been commercialized, right? It's still fun. It's a mature group. No one's ripping out of the lot at the end of the day. It's just a great group of like-minded people. There are people. There are that car show people, right? If you follow. So
speaking of that car show people, you also bumped into a friend of Lindsay and mine, right?
Oh yeah, shout out. Well, a couple of them, but I think you're referring to Eric, right? Eric from Dream Drives for Kids. He had the shirt on and everything, and he recognized me. I put two and two together with the shirt, and he and his wife, is it Amity? Is that
Amity, I think?
Yeah, lovely people. Really, really cool people.
I love that.
Yeah. It's such a small world sometimes. And
it really is.
They went on and on about you, Dan, and how much you've helped them with their fundraising and all that. You're too modest, so...
Well,
I didn't even know half of that.
But Lindsay was there as well. I think Lindsay actually was one of the few that bid, whereas I kept my hand in my pocket.
Oh.
So,
well, the funny part was there were a few things that really kind of hit home for me. And, especially they had the one where you could just bid to put together the boxes that they give the kids that get to go do the tours. And I had my daughter with me at that event, and she started getting into it. She's like, Mama, I want you to have this auction item. We got a bid.
Yeah.
That prompted some interesting discussions about fiscal responsibility versus charity versus, what's the happy medium, and also helping people. And
auctions are dangerous. You can
always
say it goes to a good cause.
The one that really caught my attention was the photo shoot for your car. And I bid on it, and then I immediately got outbid, which is what you hope, right? Because they're raising more money. But then my daughter said, "No, I really want you to have it," and she kept trying to raise her hand.
It's we should probably
down.
Yeah. Like, stop.
a little bit about the actual charity because
you'd be the best one to do that, I think.
So I mean, Lindsay could obviously do it as well. But so Eric has been very fortunate enough to collect a large number of fantastic cars.
Right.
But he made a decision to do something with them as opposed to just showing them off at Cars and Coffee or, taking them for drives. So he got in touch with local hospitals in his area and basically said if there are children that are on a journey of sickness, so, they're either fighting something terminal or long-term, he wanted to put a smile on their faces. So he would turn up with one of his supercars and take the kid out for the day in the supercar. And the auction item that we're referring to is that at the end of this experience, the child gets a replica of that car as something to kind of keep them motivated, keep them thinking. And he's gone beyond that now. He's signed partnerships. We helped sort of sort out the partnership in Redmond, Lindsay and I. But there's partnerships all over the US now, and it's only getting bigger. They went to some Porsche racing at COTA with Patrick Dempsey, and he's now supporting the charities. So, dream drive for kids.
And my friend Andrew Florin, who puts together the Ollie and Bob Cars and Coffee in Santa Monica, is connected with Children's Hospital in LA. So he and Eric are now connected, and we're building that. They are building that one out. So that's going to be amazing. But it's. Yeah, it reminded me, listening to Eric and Amity talk about all the kids that they've met, and we all, you can imagine the impact that has not only on the child, but the whole family is impacted, especially if they're siblings too. It just changes everyone's lives. And it reminded me, the school that I've driven with up here, Performance Racing School, they used to take a team to Daytona and do the 24-hour circuit, Daytona and Le Mans. And so when my daughter was a year old, we went to the Daytona 24, and I remember standing there because they raise money for Seattle Children's Hospital and the cardiac care unit. And it hit me, I'm incredibly lucky that my daughter's healthy, but people donate. I think you get involved if you've experienced something like that with your child, or if you realize how lucky you are that your child is healthy, you donate to help the families that are dealing with these situations. So I love the work that they do.
Yeah. Can you imagine, if you're a kid and you're sick and that comes into your life? I mean, it would just, I think it would just, it would be healing, right? I mean, it would be, it would just change everything, it's just, and they're lovely people and just a great
they really are.
organization. And so need to finally meet them.
Yeah.
That's good. So fun.
Small world when it comes to good car people, right?
That's
Indeed.
true.
Yeah. There were some other, I think, chance meetings, though, over the last week, if I'm not mistaken. I want to hear about air water, Lindsay, too, but you ran into our pal, Dan McInnes.
I did. I was going to say there was a lot of cross-pollination, Pacific Northwest, California, Colorado.
Yeah.
Everybody was in the wrong spot.
Bermuda Triangle going on here, don't we?
I know. Well, I mean, I've said it before, Crystal Cove is my favorite spot in the whole world. I was very lucky to grow up there in my detective trailer on the beach. And then
we need a theme song whenever that gets mentioned, right? Yeah. Some boom.
And so, I had the unique luck to be able to walk up the hill and cross PCH to one of the original Cars and Coffees in Southern California.
Awesome.
Or one of the bigger ones that then went to the Ford headquarters. But Crystal, and so the shopping center is that's what's left as far as places I can go there. And there's no formal Cars and Coffee there anymore, but it's an amazing car show any day of the week, any time. I mean, I was there Friday afternoon and, it's just unbelievable. There's a Super 90, pulled in, and there's a Porsche Super 90 Speedster next to a 65 convertible Mustang, and then an Urus and all kinds of stuff. But yes, so I got a cup of coffee and I'm walking out and I hear my name and I think, what's this? And it's Dan McInnes, of course.
And he was with our friend John Nasser as well, I think, right?
It was a whole crew. There were two Johns and then David Reichman, who's wonderful.
yeah.
Had so much fun. He's got it was his Speedster.
I didn't know that. Okay. Right
that I had
on.
seen in the parking lot. It was so funny because Dan said, we connected, and then he said, yeah, and she's on the podcast with Ryan, and everybody perked up. Well, I know Ryan. Wait a minute.
Yeah, you're being kind. But it's funny because I was walking the dog here in the neighborhood. I guess it was probably a few days before that. And who did I see but John Nasser walking down the street? And like, John, you don't live anywhere near here. He said, well, I went to go up to this place up the street. It's an ice cream shop, and he's going to walk back to his house. It's like 2 miles. It's like these guys get around,
That's so funny.
Get out more. But no, love those guys. David's a neat guy too. And
I ended up talking to him for a bit at Auto Kennel.
Okay.
The morning after Airwater, excuse me. But it was so funny. Once I saw Dan, then I realized because I'd been going south on PCH, coming up to Newport Coast Road, Newport Coast Road, which is a really fun driving road. That's where I took the Gunther Works Speedster, one of the first places. It's big, sweeping turns and just amazing.
Wait, we're playing that now for the Gunther Works?
I just felt like playing it. Yeah.
You got to hold it closer to the mic. We need the full impact.
I am the voice of the audience, you see.
Right.
So.
Like,
there we go. There we go.
Like, we get it. You got to drive the Gunther Works.
Yeah.
But, so anyway, I had been driving south on PCH, and I saw this green Porsche turn from Newport Coast onto PCH, but it was far enough.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I saw Dan, I'm like, I saw Dan like an hour ago, but I didn't know.
And that guy, his car, everyone takes a picture of his car.
I know.
So anytime he's anywhere, I open Instagram. I guess you could flip the switch to Instagram. Yeah. And his car's everywhere, right? He always makes the Instagram reels.
He's got to hit 100,000 now, hasn't he?
I think it's 90. Just turned over 90, but yeah, super
Surely
fun.
He's been to like Denver and back since then.
He came, he left, he went back Saturday.
Yeah, I think he sent me a picture from the road, right? And it was 9,009.
Wow.
Or I'm sorry, 90,009. It's not quite
so funny.
Boobs upside down or whatever, but it's, it's
it's
a
not
lot
quite
of
a
balls.
palindrome.
It's pretty impressive.
Almost. Well, and Dan and I mean, that's what's so insane is that my official address is Seattle. Dan's is Colorado, and we run into each other at Crystal Cove regularly.
Yeah.
I don't know what you do with that, but I'm so
Some people
happy.
have it figured out, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm still working on it myself. But.
So another event that was taking place in Southern California last weekend started with a damp outlook, didn't it? The air water started with more water. What was going on?
Yeah, everybody was calling it like, okay, when it's just water this time. It was cool in the morning, and then it started spitting, and it was like, all right, well, and then just real downpour. So it definitely, it drove people inside. The nice thing about the fairgrounds is that it's a mix of interior and exterior. So especially the, Broad Arrow's the auction partner, and they have a big auction room where they hold it. So you could get in there and stay dry, be comfortable. And I actually got to go to the auction preview on Friday and just check everything out, which was nice because it's quieter. There's fewer people, and you can really see the cars. And like, I got to catch up with some of the Broad Arrow and Haggerty people.
Nice.
And it was a good mix this year. They had a real 906, which was one of the cars that was featured in Ford versus Ferrari.
Okay.
But my favorite was an 87 dark blue turbo with like a marine and beige leather interior.
Wow.
I could not get enough of this car. And I thought, it was non-metallic.
So is this a 3.6 or something? Is this like a really special? I
think it was just a regular turbo. I mean, those are special, obviously. But
3.6 would have been later, I guess, 964. But
yeah, it was. I mean, I just it kept drawing me back to it. Like I'd go to walk away, and I'd realize I had walked back to this car. I mean, it was just stunning. But that
what
turned
was
out
it
to be
about the car? The color? Was it the
color was what drew me in, and then it was the dark blue, and it was a non-metallic blue.
Oh, interesting.
So and then the next day at Auto Kennel, there was a 996 dark blue turbo. So that was the energy of my weekend, was flat, non-metallic navy turbos, I guess. But it's just such a beautiful body style. It was very, it was a color still, but it was understated. Yeah. And it just, it really spoke to me. I mean, it seemed like You could just sort of be under the radar. It's very car enthusiast. You could just drive it, and you could get attention if you wanted to, but you could also just
if you know, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was
It's a
a
sweet
good
spot.
mix of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they had a yellow GT4 RS, which was beautiful. They had a silver Carrera GT. Those are always stunning to see. Another favorite was, I don't know if you remember, a few years ago, Porsche redid one of the Carrera GTs, like took it down to the metal, took everything apart, and redid it so that it was as if they had built it, like 3 or 4 years ago.
No,
what it would be. And they finished it in this color that is, it's slightly less bright than like a Miami or Mexico blue. They called it Speedster blue.
Okay.
And it was very, it was all over, social media at the time. Broad Arrow auctioned it then, but it was actually there too.
Wow. Okay.
It's up for sale again. So I got to see it again.
This is familiar now. This is coming back to me. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a unique story. They had a 911E, which is that's kind of a cool story. They had a roof. And then I don't know if you remember the story of that. I think it was a Speedster that Jerry Seinfeld had bought that turned out to have some, it was the Franken car, the Oratium green. Yeah. So they had an 01 Oratium green Carrera 4 that's what was interesting this time is a lot of the cars in the auction had really unique interiors. So it was fun.
There's a theme here. Yeah.
Yeah.
They picked up on that at Retromobile.
Right. It was like a little more visual interest. There was one really beautiful red 911 and it had the interior was a mix of this like red and black houndstooth and then tan leather, which was a really interesting combination. Drew in the red from outside. And this Oratium green one had this beautiful green and blue plaid interior. So it was just a lot of interest, like when you got up to the cars too, then it drew you in even further.
Well, didn't Porsche just announce that they're bringing Pasha back as like a standard option?
I read that. It's an extra. It's not standard.
Well, it's an extra, but sure, right. But it's not
available.
I think it's like $8,000 or something, isn't it?
Worth it.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
When I saw Eric and Amity, she had a shirt on, a blouse that was Pasha, and it took me a second to realize, like, oh my god, that's.
I know what that is.
Yeah, sly.
Yeah,
and you were staring at her blouse for 5 minutes trying to work it out with your own.
I was going to say I was looking eye to eye for 5 minutes, and then I happened to,
There we go. There we go. Did the general consensus to the auction, was it successful? Did most cars sell?
I haven't seen the numbers actually. Yeah. What did you buy? No. I mean, I was sorely tempted, but what I was going to say was it was fun to go to the preview on Friday and then get to walk around the grounds a little bit too, because they had a 935 that was in one of their, their iconic kind of platform displays. And they also had the AO Racing Rexy and Roxy dinosaur Porsches, those are my daughter's favorite. Okay. We love those. So I got to see those up close before the event. And, I mean, it was fun. Well, got to see Trent Abbott, which is always a treat. Cool. Like, he's hilarious. And then Paul Kramer was there, Matt Farah. So Saturday, it was nice in the morning. I got there really early and then started to rain. But before it started raining, we got to see Matt Farah, Sarah Trimble, and then Peter Brotman, who is a friend of mine that I saw at Retromobile. So that was really fun. And he was just about to go on the Cal Mille. So he's going to have some more
I know him
stories.
from the Grand. So.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's his Miura is my daughter's favorite car.
Awesome.
So he's a good guy.
Well, because I mean, it's almost like the people are the best part, right? Like with anything,
right?
It's the cars are just the kind of the
and with the rain, it sort of illustrated that even more because like it dampened it a little bit in the sense of you couldn't just move freely. You had to be a little more strategic, but it also didn't really because you're running into people. I saw Dan McGinnis again. We had talked about it. He was going to be there, but my two favorite cars I should say two favorite displays. They had two of the GT3 RR, the Rennsport version that they debuted at the last Rennsport at Laguna Seca. So they had two of those. One was full carbon and one was this really beautiful blue, graphic livery, gorgeous. And then on the other side of the wall, they had a liquid cooled car. And then have you heard of the artist? It's Joshua Vitas, and he does the black, it's a white background and then black, like, he makes the cars look like drawings.
Like a cartoon car.
Yeah. And so they had one of his cars there, and I had seen, pictures and articles, like Derek Powell wrote an article about them. And it's the videos I'd seen, you see somebody get in and they start to drive it and it's like an optical illusion. You're having to tell yourself it's a real car because of the effect and the impact it has.
Yeah.
So they had one of those and it was really cool.
Very cool. Very
So,
cool.
yeah.
So air water, is this something that you feel like you need to go to every year? Is this because you can only do so many things each year, right? Is this
I think it is because it's one of the few that's actually in Orange County.
okay?
And, I've known some of the people on the team over the years.
Yeah,
and so that was, I wanted to go and support my friends, obviously. And, and the Broad Arrow and the Haggerty team, I know a lot of that team as well. So it's also, again, going back to the people, like it's a good way to see a bunch of people that are not normally in the same place all together.
Right.
And catch up, which is really nice. But yeah, I mean, it's really nice because a lot of the events do take place in LA, which is still accessible for me, but it's much more of a drive. Like to be able to go 15 minutes down the road and be at this one, and I went last year with my parents and my daughter and we had a great time.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks to the event because my parents' focus is more Ford and Shelby and they left and they said, that was delightful. Like it was really fun. They put together good displays and the people.
Well, and I like the new stuff too. Like I like the old stuff, but I also like the new stuff. Right?
Yeah.
It's what I buy. Right.
Well, and they had what was cool this year, and I don't remember if they had this last year, but they had a Myers-Manx display in the mix, which was really fun. And they had.
All right. Did you get?
There you go. I had
Avance magazine.
Yeah, which is
shout out Avance.
Well, and that was a recreation of a magazine cover from the 80s.
Oh, really?
That photo. It was a Carmen Gia.
If you can't. Yeah, if you're not watching the video, and apparently very few of you do. Sorry about last week where there wasn't a video. But it's the latest Avance magazine, and there's like a guy on a BMX bike, I don't know, about 12 feet up in the air, flying over a Myers-Manx with a man in the Myers-Manx who looks as amazed as he does afraid. But it's a great shot.
Cool mix.
Great photography, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Yeah, so that one, Ryan, you got to go to Bassam's book launch with Myers-Manx, and so it's again. I mean, we always say the car world is so connected, people-wise, and even all the vehicles are so connected. So they had their bus, which was also featured in Ford versus Ferrari in the background,
Excellent.
and then they had 3 Manx. One had a radial engine, one had the 4-cam Porsche engine, and then one had the VW.
Cool.
And yeah, I mean, it's so fun. I got to meet Mike from Manx, and then Matt was there, and he's getting his radial, and so then he came over and they were talking about it, and and we got to see
Love that whole story.
Yeah, and we got to see his spec, and it's in process. So it was just really fun.
You just realize how important sound is in a car, right? And I just can't imagine what that sound right behind your head must be like, right? I mean, you're like the Red Baron or something. I don't know.
I know that engine in a vehicle that light.
Yeah,
I mean, it's got to be a hell of an experience for sure.
Absolutely.
Lots of fun. Shall I bring us back to reality for a little while?
Do we have to?
It's no fun,
You kind of have to. I think it's, we get all these great experiences, but also our audience, they want advice, they want insights. So
they do.
And they came here?
Right. I mean, I guess
our heads are in the clouds. Come on.
The Last Chance Saloon. That's the car show. So I had a dilemma this week. I was down in LA for business meetings, and I got to the rental car lot. And I want to know what you guys would do. I'll explain my process afterwards. But you get to the rental car lot.
Premise, yeah.
Yeah, you get to the rental car lot, and they say, right, here is your row, and you can pick any car from the row. And the row was right near the front, so it means it wasn't a great row. These are the sort of cars.
Immediately no.
I like it when
it's funny how we all understood. Yeah,
yeah, but it was like they looked at me and said, and it was like no walk at all, right? But the row consisted of a few cars, and I'll name them. And tell me, like, which would you pick? What's the one that really, you would go for, and maybe even fight someone else with their luggage?
This is not the president's circle. Okay,
there's a rental car cage match going on.
President's afterthought row.
Maybe we could make the next UFC millions out of that, right? So the cars were, and I say cars, they're kind of more like mini SUVs. The Hyundai Kona.
Okay.
The Chevrolet Equinox.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Ryan has a story about that.
The Jeep Compass.
Yeah, also, no.
the Kia Sportage. Yeah,
That's sounding better in this group. Yeah.
Like sounds like cheese. Let's go. Kia fromage. Let's go.
the Ford Escape
Uh-huh.
or the Nissan Rogue. So
Oh man, that is like what was the last one? A Rogue?
A Nissan Rogue. It was like a Rogues Gallery, right?
I was going to say.
Yeah, this is
like the Reject Rogues Gallery.
It's like this is the worst lineup
I must
ever.
Be really careful here, right? Because 2 weeks before I went to Enterprise, and I'd used points, and I'd booked myself a Corvette, and I ended up driving off the parking lot in a brand new 911. So Enterprise are great. Just this week, I was on a budget.
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah. Sometimes you hit it, and sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
I will say, I was just talking to someone who has a Kona and had an EV before that, and was raving about it. She said, for what it is, it's very simple. It gets me around. It charges quickly. It's comfortable. You know, it does a good job.
I do the Kona in that group too.
Yeah.
I've never driven it, but I've driven every other one of those. So by process of elimination, Kona it is.
Yeah. Are you Kona as well, Lindsay?
I would take the Kona. I did have a Jeep Compass, in 2015 as a rental car, and I had a little bit of I think I have a soft spot because I had a little bit of a Final Destination moment in that car where traffic suddenly came to a stop and I looked in the rearview mirror and there was a semi fishtailing towards me from behind. And I was able to get myself out of it. So the Compass, did its job.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you go for the Compass or would you go for...
I think I would go for the Kona because I would want to try something new.
Interesting.
Do you want to break down why each one of those models is awful?
Well, I don't think we've got enough time on the podcast, have we? But let me explain my process. Okay.
Yeah. What did you go?
Yeah. So how did this all shake out?
Well, I landed in LA, and it's sunny.
It is.
So as I'm walking along the line, the first thing I'm looking for is a sunroof. I actually don't care what badge is on the front. Sunroof, and none of them had a sunroof.
Oh.
Okay. So I'm like,
dun,
okay.
dun.
So immediately,
fresh off the 911.
Fresh off the 911, which was convertible.
Yeah.
Immediately, I ruled out the Equinox. I don't know why it just does not appeal to me. Maybe I'm a brand snob, I don't know, but that was straight out the window. So then the Ford Escape, I've got friends who've had big engine problems with their Ford Escapes. So I was like, no.
I'd actually take the Equinox over the Escape at this point.
Yeah. Okay.
I just haven't seen one of the current gen. I drove one of the first generations for a bit, and I used to joke that it was made of Legos, and I love Legos. But
yeah, those first generation ones were kind of cool, the boxy ones. But now they're just like
they were just super
drive like
light.
they're dead.
There wasn't a whole lot to it. No pickup.
Are we still talking Escape here?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Not much escape in the Escape.
I once took one of those first generations off-roading and ripped off the whole underbody, and I returned it, and no one was the wiser. So I don't know if I do that in a new Escape, though. That's a little too crossover.
Does that mean that you're...
Well, that was like 2004, right?
Oh, you're good.
Maybe earlier. Yeah.
You're good.
Was it an Escape?
Back to the...
was it an Escape we took to Pikes Peak?
No, that was
an Edge.
That was an Edge.
Edge.
That's not a terrible car in this
above.
company. Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
No, the Edges are good.
Yeah.
So the Equinox was out, the Escape was out, the Sportage was out. I'd had Rogues before, and I thought, well, what's going to be the most comfortable to sleep in? And
Where's
it's got to
the
be the
buzzard,
Jeep
Ryan? We need our own
Compass,
buzzers.
Yeah.
We can't talk about sleeping in a car.
But I went for the Jeep just because it's a known quantity. It's relatively comfortable.
Right.
Those aren't terrible.
Yeah, it was.
Well, and it's a good amount of space.
Fine. Yeah, it did the job great.
These are like threes, right, for cars though. All of them, right?
Yeah, it was like a row 3.
It's like slightly better than nothing. What was it in planes, trains, and automobiles? And you couldn't get a rental car. He's like, I'll take a Datsun, I'll take a Toyota, I'll take a Ford, I'll take anything, right? I mean, these are those cars, right?
Yeah.
You just need to get somewhere.
Right.
Yeah. So,
In your case, a very important business meeting.
A really important business meeting. But so there's no wrong answer, right? I mean, anything is getting you from A to B these days. Modern cars are good, but...
Yeah.
But it's always interesting. Like sometimes you really hit it, like with your 911, and sometimes you don't with the rental cars. I mean, I had one a couple years ago in Monterey. I was chatting with the counter agent.
Oh, I see. Are you the cutest rental travel agent in the world?
I bet you get that all the time. But I ended up getting a brand new 4Runner with only 900.
Well, there we go.
Nice. I have yet to get a 4Runner from a rental counter.
Well, and then when I went back for Rentsport that year, the guy was still there, and I thanked him. I said it was so, really made the week. And he's like, well, I don't have that one, but I do have another one. Would you like it again? And I said, yes, I would.
Nice.
So the lesson
This one's a TRD Pro.
Right. No, the
rent
first
with
one
Lindsay.
was.
She'll work her magic and charm.
Right. This is why we all need to travel together.
Yeah. Eli at the Hertz counter in Monterey.
Eli, what's up, Eli?
Amazing.
Eli probably listening. So
right, obviously. So I had to say hi.
He's manager now.
Yeah. He's got all
Actually
the
got fired after slipping these 4Runners to all the pretty ladies.
Costing the rental company too much money.
Right?
Yeah.
Shoot.
Oh man. It's a good time. Yeah, rental cars are it's a weird lottery.
Well, if you've flown into Monterey like for Car Week, it's a tiny airport, right? Like, I mean, it's in notoriously bad rental cars because they're just like, beaten to crap and, lots of threes in that rental fleet.
I think they step it up for Car Week because when I was walking down the row,
for me.
there was a Maserati.
Oh, there was.
There was,
Dan,
there were.
It's calling siren song.
I actually think that Eli was showing Lindsay a different part of the parking lot to where we went to.
Yeah, that was just somebody's car.
No, you
that
guys
was his own car.
Yeah, I think we got the budget end of the car park.
Right.
But yeah,
It's
car
funny.
rentals. What can you do? It's I've got an English phrase when I go to my check-in at the car rental, and I just say, "Have you got anything fun?" And usually they kind of go, "Okay, well, this person might be a car person. Let's see what we can find out for them."
Well, aren't you pulling the "I'm a car journalist" thing like I did?
I'm not as well published as you, Ryan, unfortunately.
Five articles I'm up to. Come on, at what point is it official? But I think you should.
When you can count
slide
them
over
on
one of
your
those new
hands
stickers.
and toes. Yeah. I work with Ryan Barkey.
You may have heard of a little show called That Car Show.
I don't know if you know, I'm kind of a big deal.
Yeah, also I'm British.
That's got to
Parish Notes and all the rest.
The adventures in car rentals continue. Watch out for the next installment.
Sorry.
Right.
Also, do you have anything fun as a Britishism?
I don't know whether it is or not. But
okay.
It kind of feels like the person at the car rental place is like, oh, well, maybe this person's a car person. Maybe we might,
more of a car.
like to surprise and delight or something.
Okay.
But I'll let you know how that goes.
Yeah.
Well, let's just throw down this as a challenge, right? The next time we travel, fly to an airport or something, get a rental car, who can come back with the best rental car without paying extra?
Yes, that's the key.
Okay, so it's an ongoing challenge.
Yeah, so it might not be, I'm not going anywhere tomorrow, but, maybe next month or maybe next week.
That makes one of us. No.
And we need to make sure that Eli's not included in this, or else we're going to lose straight away, right?
I can't leverage my resources. Is that what you're saying?
Well, Eli, I'll never forget that name now. That's a good one, right? That's
and he was so nice, and just super helpful. And it really did, because it was a brand new car practically. And, you hear things about 4Runners, especially the first gen, like underpowered and whatever. This one was perfect all the way around.
Well, Eli, we'll see you in August, buddy.
Yeah.
I love it. Nice to see him. I test drove a car last week.
Oh, what did you drive?
So, how sometimes you kind of look at a car and you're like, I wonder if it drives as it looks.
Yeah.
And I managed to get the keys too, and I don't know if we should use a buzzer here because it's me saying it, not you, Lindsay.
Oh.
But the Bronco Raptor.
Oh,
wow.
Or the Braptor.
And it's a divisive car, truck,
okay, so what did you think, Dan?
Yeah, so my expectations were incredibly high.
Yeah.
I told a couple of friends that I was going to test it, and both of them said exactly the same thing. You won't like it, it's too big. Yeah, it's too big for you. You won't like it, it's too big.
So were you test driving it with an eye to possibly purchasing one, or was it just the opportunity to drive it?
Yeah, this is just what Dan does for fun.
Yeah,
I mean,
just
me too. That's why I'm clarifying.
So I was thinking about swapping in the Audi and the Corolla and getting one do-it-all car.
Yeah.
So something that has performance, that you can take the top off and, can store your tires, all that sort of. I'm not sure whether you get the tires from the Bronco in the Bronco because I think they're
not on the Raptor.
Inch. Yeah, 37-inch tires.
It's almost like Rambo Lambo size.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're massive. Yeah. So anyway, I went to the dealer and I'd specifically asked for a used Bronco Raptor to test drive. I get there and the dealer has the brand new car waiting for me. So clearly he's already thinking about the upsell.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm like, how many miles have you got on this thing? I'm really happy to drive the used one. And he's like, oh no, it's here now. So we get out to the car park and this thing was, you have to climb up into it. I know, Lindsay, you drove one at the
Seattle Auto Show, didn't you? Seattle Auto Show when we were there, yeah.
Yeah. So you almost need to take some crampons with you to get into this thing because it's so high. So that was the first thing. I didn't realize how high they are. And you then get in it and, it's very familiar, forward controls, paddles, all that sort of stuff. You've got all sorts of extra buttons for auxiliary things like lights, etc. But you're pretty high up, you're kind of truck level high up there. So took it down the road. My expectations were that this thing was going to really, really rip. And it didn't really, really rip.
And it did not.
Yeah. No, I mean, you think that because it's got the Raptor brand associated with it, right?
Yeah.
And it was nippy, but it wasn't like, I was kind of like hoping for a kind of, holy shit, this is quick, right?
Yeah. Right, like blow your hair back.
Well, it's not 500 horsepower, right? It's like 470 or something, right? It's not crazy power.
A V6, isn't it? They didn't put a V8 in it because it wouldn't fit.
Right, but the V6s are faster than the V8s, if I'm not mistaken.
Is it the V6? Raptor. Is it an EcoBoost?
I'm not sure now. You're testing me. I remember it was a V6.
I don't even know what EcoBoost means, honestly. I think it's just the turbo, right?
Yeah. Okay. That's the name that they came up with for the V6 turbo engine.
Ecologically boosted.
Yeah, that's what's in my truck.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know what it was, but anyway, so this thing, it didn't rip like I wanted it to rip. It didn't. I can imagine it handles really well in the sand. I can imagine that you just don't realize that you're going over sand, etc.
Which I care about not at all.
Right. How often do you find sand in the car park, right?
But you guys are going to the wrong car parks. Let's be honest.
Right. I hate to admit it to JF, Lincoln, and everyone else that told me, but it was just too big.
But really? Is that because it's the Raptor and you're like extra wide, or would the standard Bronco? Because you can't get the Raptor with the manual, right? But you can the regular.
Correct, but the width, it's got extra width.
Even with the standard, it's just okay. Because in my mind's eye, they're closer to like a Wrangler, but I guess they're not. I've never driven one.
The Raptors they have a volume to them because of the additional like the fenders and the tires are bigger. Everything.
True. Good point.
Everything it's like jet puffed a little bit.
So last week it was constipated. This week is
just like
puffed. Me. Love it. Absolutely love it.
The Stay Puft Marshmallow Bronco.
I can imagine.
Guys, I had a thought.
If you're in Montana or if you're somewhere like where there is a lot of space, I can imagine it's a great car.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't for Seattle.
Well, and if you're, when you look at where you're going to be driving it, you don't want to have to pause at parking garages and
right.
Am I going to fit?
Right.
Yeah.
You want to be out mending fences in that thing.
Right. Well, and I know it's interesting, Dan, because I know we talked about it at the time, and I was also very excited to try it out and had high expectations. And that was probably one of the most interesting car test drive days for me because I drove the F-150 Lightning, the Raptor, the Explorer ST, and then the Mach-E GT. And if I had to rank them ahead of time, probably the Bronco and the Lightning would have been tied in what I expected to be first, and then the Explorer, and then the Mach-E. And the Mach-E was my favorite, and the Bronco was my least favorite.
And what's a Raptor go for? Was it about 70, 80?
It's a bit weird at the minute. I don't even want to answer that. But
no, I don't know, actually.
So to counteract the tariffs, Ford are doing something called employee pricing.
Yeah.
So in essence, you're getting, I think, between 15 and 20% off.
Okay.
But
that's
also,
great.
these cars aren't selling. So, so there are bigger deals to be had on these things. So I think you could pick a new one up for probably about 85.
Okay.
But an MSRP would be about 100.
Oh, okay.
And there's a lot available at that price point, as we know. And I think that's maybe the thing working against it the most. I mean, you're talking about, I don't know. Yeah.
Well,
G-Wagon. I mean, you're getting close to, what's a G-Wagon start at?
The Jeep has what you call it, is it the 392?
Yeah.
So that would
also
be...
like kind of panned, though. Like people never really got crazy about those.
But I think people like that because it is a V8, right, versus the V6. You could have something very quick from Porsche.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. The G-Wagon starts at $148,000.
So nearly double. Okay.
Yeah. Ryan's ability to stay with the common people is drifting apart slowly.
Hashtag unrelatable.
Well, I've never priced the basic, the base G-Wagon. It's the G63 or nothing. So.
Well, and I will say when I did the women's off-road day at Dirtfish with Avance, there were several Braptors there, and they were amazingly capable. Like they chewed up the course. The people had so much fun driving them. They looked really cool.
Yeah.
So I think it's one of those too where
they do look cool.
They're really designed to be off-road and that kind of thing. And so when you drive it on the street, it's a little neutered. You're not really fully experiencing what it's been designed to do.
Yeah.
But
potential.
but that's tricky because if you're going to have one car, you're going to be driving it in context that it wasn't necessarily driven for if it's a purpose-designed vehicle like that.
Yeah.
And you want to be able to enjoy it, especially people like us.
Right.
Right.
I do not have an assistant. I have to type my questions in. I don't have a...
You'll get there one day, Ryan. I believe in you.
I'm sorry. Now I'm punching in G550 prices and it's talking about Gulfstreams, and that's a whole other... But according to this, an AMG is only 40,000 more. So why limit yourself to the G550? Just saying.
Aim high.
I mean, while we're at it,
right.
That's pretty funny. Well, and one thing, speaking of like crazy cars, there was one last little footnote I wanted to say about all of my visits to Crystal Cove. I met a group of young kids. I mean, they're probably 18-ish, but young as far as compared to me. But, there's a big discussion, and we've all talked about this, about like our kids interested in cars these days and kids not getting their licenses and whatever. And these kids were so fun and so enthusiastic, just like true car people. One of them was named Kendall, and she has a Supra that's wrapped half and half hot pink and matte black. And she ended up walking us around the car and showing us all the little Easter eggs. And they had put, stickers under the wrap, and then they put the wrap on so it looks like it's embossed.
Wow.
And just super cool. Huh. And then one of her friends has a Mercedes convertible that's covered in purple Muppet hair.
Oh, boy.
So very distinctive.
Yeah,
very
good on them. Good on them.
I know.
Yeah,
they were just, and then, it was very fun and very, good to see, like, okay, the next generation is alive and well, and kids are still into cars. And
absolutely.
All of that.
100%, 110%. They are.
Yeah, super fun. And then we saw them the next day, and we're like, oh my gosh.
How do you wash that thing?
Oh, that was the thing. So we saw it Saturday, and they're like, it's a little dirty from the rain. It had gotten rained on, so all the fur was kind of deflated.
I mean, do you use like detergent then, like laundry detergent?
Oh, it's like conditioner.
To keep it from getting dry and brittle.
Like, come on. But so Car Girl Kendall with a K. She was very fun.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, and they were about to swap out the fur.
The kids are all right, aren't they?
Exactly. The kids are all right. Whew.
Have we got a show title in that?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think I used that once for the road show.
The kids are all right.
The steering committee or something. Yeah. That's,
Muppet Mercedes.
Yeah. Muppet hair.
Yeah.
I think we're at a show, aren't we, folks?
I think we are.
What do you think, Ryan?
We can keep talking all night. I'm all hopped up on NA beers. I mean, let's just getting going.
I got at least a half a case of non-alcoholic beer left. What am I supposed to do with it?
Well, no, he's going to knock 3 of those over at least, isn't he?
That's
So for
two down, one to go.
For our listeners, let us know where else we should introduce the buzzer. I'm thinking Dan McGuinness.
Yes.
And maybe Derek Powell, because they seem to come up a lot in this week's episode.
And maybe Crystal Cove.
Crystal Cove. I mean, we could end up with a show that's just buzzer.
Right? One for every time I spill a beer.
Yeah. Well, it's like, John and Justin had to do that AI show. We may have to fall back on just a show that's entirely the buzzer if we have an issue.
Well, noises.
We'll get there.
So that's the show, I think. Who is going to leave us with our famous catchphrase?
Ryan, would you like to?
This is That Car Show. Always be driving.
That's
Till
right.
next time.
Excellent.
Thanks,
Until next
guys.
time. Thanks, everyone.
We'll see everybody next week.
We have reached peak car. We're not in a situation where we're looking for peak car. We have reached it.
Today on That Car Show, Sasha Selipanov. Sasha, of course, is the automotive designer behind many of your favorite modern supercars and hypercars, including the excellent Lamborghini Huracan, the innovative Koenigsegg Gemera, and of course, the epic Bugatti Chiron. We talk about what makes a car great, why the Germans are sometimes scared of their own shadow, why Freeman Thomas's original Audi TT was so good, and why the company's new Concept C is a return to form. Of course, we also go deep on Sasha's current project, his Nilu 27 hypercar, and why I think it's the most exciting hypercar in a long time. Here's a hint. It's got a V12 that goes to 11 and a gated manual transmission. This is a good one, and Sasha's story of growing up in the Soviet Republic to creating some of the most iconic enthusiast cars of our day is a great one. It's also a reminder to get off your ass and do something with your life. Stay tuned, tell your friends, and make sure you follow That Car Show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. That Car Show is brought to you by Sheffield Watches. Sheffield is the storied watchmaking brand that was revived a couple of years back by our good friend Jay Turkbus, and it's seen wild success in both the car and watch enthusiast communities. Sheffield offers a wide selection of watches, many inspired by the iconic designs of its 1960s dive models, most notably the one that Jay's parents gave him in 1970, which ignited his lifelong passion for watches. Sheffield watches are high quality, reasonably priced, and a great value. Sheffield has truly become the car guy and car gal's watch of choice. Order your Sheffield watch at sheffieldwatches.com. Give them a follow on the gram at Sheffield_allsport_watches. And tell them That Car Show sent you. The first time I saw Sasha Selipanov's Nilu 27 hypercar, I was blown away. I knew immediately that it was something special. It was familiar, but it was also unlike anything I'd seen before. It was kind of like every car crush I'd ever had all rolled up into one, but it wasn't derivative, it wasn't overwrought, and it wasn't an homage. It was a truly original modern hypercar. One pure form, and one that really connected with me emotionally, which makes sense because the car's creator, Sasha, has one hell of a resume. Born in Tbilisi, Georgia, Sasha moved to California at the age of 17. And after attending Art Center College of Design, Sasha was hired by the Volkswagen Group, where he was part of the Lamborghini Huracan team and designed the exterior of the incredible Bugatti Chiron. He'd later go on to Genesis before becoming head of design at Koenigsegg, where he was responsible for both the Gemera and the CC850. But back to the Nilu, because its specs are truly impressive. A hot V12 engine that makes 1,000 horsepower, over 1,000 horsepower, at 11,000 RPM, which is incredible. A top speed of 250 miles an hour, 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds, of course. And it's got a gated manual. It's a driver's car, but it's also, as Sasha puts it, here to burn your village. So it's That Car Show, and today it's just me. Dan and Lindsay are off doing amazing things, but I'm doing something even better. I'm here with Sasha himself. So Sasha, you've been on Top Gear, the smoking tire, motor trend, list goes on. It's great to have you join us here on That Car Show. Welcome.
It's my pleasure, Ryan. Thank you very much for this incredibly kind intro. I'm blushing already.
Well, hopefully I got all the facts correct, but it's great to have you. I'm a big fan of your work. And so what is the Sasha story? Where did this need to create, this drive to create come from?
I don't know. I think most of the kids are kind of born with it, but the society, the warm embrace of the parenting home and experiences in school kind of stifle the creativity and kill the dreams a little bit for most kids. But in my case, I was very fortunate. I had the environment, and speaking of my family right now, that really nurtured that obsession of mine and made sure that a lot of compromises, sacrifices, and effort was invested into supporting me on that journey. So I think I was just lucky like that.
Yeah, you were one of those kids, I'm sure, that had the posters, on the wall and all the rest. Yeah, what was on your wall as a kid? What were you
So
drawn
like
to?
I think that part of my kind of uh, part of my motivation right now and part of the intensity that I feel when it comes to sports cars really takes roots in how, in a way, depraved my childhood was because growing up in uh, final death throes of Soviet Union in Georgia, the best car you could see out in the streets was a Lada Niva, which is actually a really cool car, but that was the best. Like
Mm.
you would never see
Yeah, they
an
are. Yeah,
import.
uh,
You
yeah,
would never see a sports car. Those things only existed in rare kind of magazine clippings that I could find somewhere. And the fact that I never was exposed to those cars, although I dreamed of them daily, but I never had the opportunity to actually like hold on to them in any meaningful way. That
yeah.
kind of that hunger and that fascination is what really fueled me throughout my life. I'm still weak in my knees when I see something
Yeah,
exciting on the road and
yeah.
jump out of my car and run after it like a total adolescent moron. But
I love
yeah,
that you still do that. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
I most recently was driving somewhere in Hollywood and there was an F40 parked facing the wrong way on the road. So I'm driving, seeing all those back ends, and all of a sudden I see the front end of an
Oh yeah,
F40. I just like threw the car like into the first, like I don't know, not even a parking spot, just fire hydrant, and then ran out and started taking pictures and spent I don't know half the afternoon just sitting there on the curb
really.
looking at the car. You can't help it. It's
Yeah.
an obsession from early days. And F40
I love
was
it.
on the
Yeah,
bedroom wall,
yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
So.
It's one of the greats, truly, isn't it? It's yeah. I still get a little weak in the knees whenever I see one too.
Yeah.
You go to Car Week and you see them everywhere, and it's just surreal, right? It's just surreal.
At that point in time, it gets like this experience of like if you have all these I don't know, craft beers, by the time you're on your fifth one, you really can't tell like if it's
Right,
like the
right.
right. But that's the car week experience in a nutshell. It's so
I love that.
oversaturating for my senses. Yeah,
I
can't
love
quite
that
handle it.
analogy. Yeah. So Tbilisi, like a beautiful part of the world, but obviously it was a
Sure.
real culture shift moving to a city like Los Angeles, huh? At 17. So you had spent your formative years in
Right.
this former Russian republic, and now you're in Los Angeles. And I mean, your head must have just exploded, right? With everything you saw and experienced.
Not quite, I would say, because first of all, from Tbilisi, my family moved to Moscow when I was
Ah, okay.
9 years old. So I spent between my 9-year-old and my 17-year-old self, it was Moscow. And Moscow is a really bustling metropolis with more intensity, more New York than LA, if I had
Okay.
to draw a parallel there.
Sure.
So for me coming to LA from Moscow, definitely exciting. Car culture is amazing. Climate was wonderful.
Yeah.
Plenty of experiences that were kind of impressive, but I was missing a little bit of the intensity of the big city
Mm.
in a New York kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a culture shock. Obviously, also because it was my first time having to speak English from morning till evening,
Mm.
never having the opportunity to switch back to the comfort of my native language, and yeah, I still remember it was a massive culture shock, but not because
Yeah.
of the size of the city. That
Yeah.
wasn't it.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. And I've bumped into you a couple of times. I think the first time last year at the LA Auto Show, where your car was front and center. First time I saw the car in the flesh, and was just really, really floored by it. But I bumped into you again recently at Car Week at the Haggerty House, I guess is what they
That's right.
call it. And you gave this really insightful presentation into your design philosophy. And I guess what I really appreciated about it was your complete lack of pretense. Like in a week of lots of smoke and mirrors, sometimes literally, you really cut to the chase, and you almost made it sound like the secret to car design is actually very simple.
I think it is. I don't know. I do believe that we overthink things too much sometimes, and the first impulse is more often right than we give it credit for. So yeah, it's overcomplicated. It's driven by too many cooks in the same kitchen quite often. There's too many interests at play. The investments are so large, nowadays to bring a mainstream production car to the road is, maybe even north of $1 billion. So when the investment is that high for a road car program, you inevitably have a whole bunch of different stakeholders in the game, and very often the designer is kind of the receiving point of all the different conflicting feedbacks. So then it's up to you, and it's on your shoulders to make sense of it somehow. And again, very often the designer is relatively narrow-minded, so they only have, they just want to focus on making something quote unquote pretty, and they don't fully embrace the complexity of the process. So it is both simpler and more difficult. I don't know how else to summarize it. It requires a certain amount of intelligence, and if you have that intelligence, then hopefully it's a good place to start.
You broke it down into some components, and one of them was seat shape and seat design, which I thought was really interesting, right? And I think, as you said it, most car seats kind of look the same, right? But the body's not built like that. Plus, you need to sort of lower the roof of the car, the center of gravity, and all that. Can you go into that a little bit about how important seat design is? Because the human, like our body, really becomes part of the unit, the functional unit, right? Once you're in the car.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point. Obviously, spent a long time thinking about it, and generally speaking, when you're working with established car companies and OEMs, you have ergonomic sections that are being given to you, so you can't actually be creative when it comes to changing some of the ergonomic requirements that the company has. Like VW has very strict curves that are already predefined for human comfort and for human safety. So if you deviate from those curves, you'll be approached by the engineering team and they'll tell you, yeah, your design isn't compliant. Please make sure you respect these tried and tested, decades old, matured through generations comfort sections. We won't accept any deviation. And it was actually at Koenigsegg the first time I realized this stuff is up for grabs. Christian had some wonderful ideas when it came to human ergonomics, and I realized, wow, I mean, he's so creative when it comes to these topics that were taboo in my previous life. And I kind of took that on as a challenge for myself to also think outside these, regulated boxes and be creative. Obviously, safety is, top concern. So I will never do anything that compromises that. But when it comes to some of those comfort sections, they are built along straight lines. Like the seat back, for example, in most passenger cars is a straight line, and that's not what our spine looks like. So creating a shape that accommodates the spine more is both more comfortable and eventually lowers the head a tiny bit, and you are packaging a bit tighter around the head, and you're getting, in my mind, a sports car anyway should feel a little bit like a tightly fitted glove. Right. You kind of want that tailor-made feel in that interior, and the areas that you come into contact with your body, let's say, with your elbows, with your knees, with your hands, obviously, they should be designed as literal offsets of your body parts, so that you have that cocooning effect and the feeling of purpose-built interior. Other parts that are more about making inputs into the vehicle, toggle switches, shifter, all those other things, they need to provide both the haptic and the touch feedback to you. So you really need that click back. You really need that cold touch to understand that your hands aren't on the leather anymore. They are on something that controls mechanical function of the car. So I want that cold touch to come back to you at that point. There's a lot of thinking that goes into designing an interior, very far away from just drawing lines and coming up with cool themes. That's not it. You really have to think through the user, through the driver's perspective. What is the experience that they're about to have, both from the external point of view, approaching the car, getting into the car, being in front of the wheel for the first time, your first 8 seconds, as Etienne, who is my wonderful friend and interior designer, says, first 8 seconds are the clear kind of yay or nay decision point for the potential buyer. But then, how does this thing live with you throughout your life? Are you going to be looking to sell it in 6 months because it is a pain and you're not comfortable with the experience, or is every new opportunity to drive the car, making you fall deeper in love with it? And it really is gratifying on all those levels, both the first wow factor as well as, the decision making point, but then the life with the product and learning something new. It's like every relationship. You really need to create those experiences and layer them and sometimes even hide them so they come through, later down the road. And seat back is part of it. So I'm going to deviate it now, but yeah.
Well, you mentioned the tactile, and I don't think there's a screen in your car, is there?
No, well, we have one screen, which is the rear view mirror, the central mirror, just
Okay.
in the cabin here, because the firewall there's no transparency there,
Okay.
and
Okay.
the engine bay has this massive top-facing exhaust, so you wouldn't see anything out the back anyway. So we do have one screen, and it's the only screen that I'm personally comfortable with in a super sports car. The last thing you want to do is, while you're driving, have to kind of look away and fiddle with something on the
Sure.
screen. So
Sure.
that mirror is all you get.
Okay, interesting, interesting. And you mentioned Etienne Salome as his name, and
That's
I
right.
think you worked
Yes.
with him on the Chiron, yeah?
Yeah, he was the interior head, and I was the exterior head, so we were sharing that responsibility. And later on, he became one of my best friends, but also joined me on a bunch of other adventures, including periodic work at Koenigsegg while I was heading up design there. Etienne was one of the
Okay.
contributors, and then with Nilu, the interior was again us sort of working together and him driving that very much, but I also had a strong hand in it, obviously being my brand.
Sure, sure. One of the things on the interior I think that I've seen is the wheel is pretty small, right? So the dials, right, are offset, right, to the left and right and things like that. I mean, everything's considered, and just appreciate that. Something else I really appreciate is wheel design. And I know when I saw you at the Haggerty House, there was a question and answer session, and there were only a handful of us journalist types, and so the pressure was kind of on to ask a good question. And I asked about wheel design because on the Nilu, it's a simple design. It obviously works very well. It's beautiful, but it's not overwrought, right? Again, it looks the way it does because I think you said it was how a wheel looks when you make it as strong and as light as possible, and that's the result you get. Is that right? Like, kind of capture that, or
In a nutshell, you
yeah,
definitely did. So wheels are incredibly important for vehicle performance. They're obviously unsprung weight. They also generate quite a lot of rotational energy. So they're in a way like a gyroscope. So a wheel that is spinning at I don't know, 200 or 300 or 400 kilometers per hour is an incredible amount of energy stored in that rotation. So
yeah.
the more mass that wheel has, the more complicated it is for the suspension to do its job. The more complicated it is to get good steering feel, because obviously it doesn't want to change direction. It continues spinning in the plane of rotation and doesn't want to be changed. So lightweight is crucial for wheels. That is really
Yeah.
part of, not only weight saving in terms of just, numbers game, but also the outright driving experience benefits a lot from your wheels
Sure,
being lighter.
sure.
So you can run algorithms these days that generate wheels with, if you input the parameters of the material that you'll be using, if it's a composite or if it's a forged, or the methods of production, and you get shapes that are lightest for that input, for that material, for that vehicle weight, for that driving kind of scenario. You get designs out of predictive software. So technically, you should be just taking those, producing them, and your job's done.
Sure.
But of course, you still, as a designer, there is an aesthetic value to it. And I do
Yeah.
believe that form following function delivers most of that value, but you still should do your homework a little bit, making things
Yeah,
neat.
yeah,
And a classic 5-spoke is one of the simplest and most efficient shapes when it comes to distributing the load paths and providing the right rigidity and strength and lightweight. So starting with a 5-spoke made sense, and then I wanted to keep the face of it as clean as possible, so you don't actually see the complications. And this is also part of the way I like to tell stories. I don't like when things are all at once, same in intensity, just thrown at you, right? I want to create a step ladder where you appreciate the design, thinking, oh, it's a simple 5-spoke wheel. Probably seen something like that before, but you get close and you're like, oh, but not quite. And then you look at it from closer up, and you see that, oh, it's all cross drilled, and there's so much weight saving going on, and there's all these crazy angles that the drilling is happening from the CNC machining. So they must have come up with intricate new ways of accessing those angles to. So the more you know and the closer you get, the more you appreciate what you see in front of you, while the first read remains instantaneous. As I call it, the Neanderthals punch to the gut. You need to deliver that bang.
Yeah.
And you can't deliver the bang with a lot of noise. The bang needs to be intentional.
You're the first car designer I've spoken with that really almost talks about a car with a story arc, right? Or is having a story arc, which I appreciate. And speaking of wheels, it must kill you to see like Cadillacs with these chrome 24-inch wheels, just knowing like how much those things are hurting the performance of the car, right?
But I mean, like to every vehicle, there's different set of guiding principles. For a vehicle that is primarily just a fashion symbol or something that is just a lifestyle choice, fine. But we're talking about super sports cars, so there's still that kind of, you need to deliver on the performance side as much as you do on the aesthetics. So I don't want to necessarily kill off the entire car culture that is, not necessarily following function per se. There's so much
right.
exciting stuff on the road, and I really just appreciate stuff that makes me stop and think a little bit, you know. And it could be both really pretty and quite ugly, but I love the kind of the wow factor that I kind of experience when I see something that breaks the mold a little bit.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, Genesis, I know you were with Genesis for a while, and I think Genesis has some of the best wheels in the game. Maybe, you know, not all performance wheels necessarily, but really doing some different stuff with fractals and all this kind of thing. And did you have anything to do with that while you were there?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
So maybe you remember Genesis Essentia, the concept?
Yes, absolutely.
So that had a pretty wild wheel, and that car was done in my studio. I was responsible for that show car.
Fantastic.
And the wheel I still remember because our boss at the time was constantly pushing us to come up with something even more expressive for the wheels. And I was like, guys, come on, we gotta, like, this is it, you know? Let's just make sure that we produce something that is wild.
Yeah.
I still really wanted a first read because I'm a fan of first read. I think first read is very important. But the intricacy was taken to really the next level with that Essential wheel. It was nuts. Never done a more complicated wheel in my life.
Yeah.
And then we did the Mint as well, which was the follow-up show car to the Essentia, and that also had a crazy wheel. And I still remember sitting in Alias and actually building up that wheel myself. That was one of the personal contributions. I was like, okay, I'll do the wheel.
Yeah, that's awesome. A detailer's nightmare, but a great-looking wheel, right? That's the best.
Kind of three or 4 days of work where normally I spent like, I don't know, half an hour on the wheel, but this was a heavy one.
Wow. And you mentioned too that you're not a clay model guy, right? You are a computer guy. I don't know, maybe that's just a generational thing or whatever, but it does affect the output, doesn't it?
I don't think so.
No?
I think that the key kind of guiding parameter that I have for my own output and for my teams is you shouldn't be able to tell how it was built. Like when someone sees it, like an experienced clay guy comes up and says, how did you guys do this? They should fully believe that it was done using their preferred method, you know, their dream approach. They should not be able to tell how it was done. Because I don't think that the final product should reflect the tools that were used. The tools should be used to create a perfect product, and you should find tools that do it for you, but the product should not necessarily headline with the approach that was taken. That somehow devalues it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, for example, a 911 rear fender, a clay modeler will always tell you that's only possible in clay. I can build that in maybe 45 minutes. There's really no problem with that rear fender. It's two patches, and it's pretty easy to control that highlight. It is a really beautifully mathematically controllable surface that unfortunately most alias modelers or most CAD modelers build it not the right way, and then it becomes a very tedious piece of work, and then the clay guys take advantage because they can do it with their hands and with their kind of magic. But if you understand the underlying math behind it, it's actually a very simple shape.
Yeah, interesting. So what are some of your pet peeves when you see other cars that you weren't involved with, right? Whether it's, you know, I don't know, BMW or Tesla or, you know, what are these? There's some funky stuff going on, right? So what are some of your pet peeves? How much of this is laziness? How much of this is just trying to do something different?
So my main problem with the entire industry as a whole is this complete disconnect between what the object is supposed to do and what it looks like. So the kind of mental game I play with myself sometimes is close your eyes, come up to a car, put your hand on any part of that car, open your eyes and ask yourself, what's this for? And chances are, in a large percentage, there is no purpose. It is just there to create visual fascination, quote unquote, but it doesn't fascinate me. I just look at it and think why is this thing just stuck on the car? That has to do with fake exhaust lamps, fake air intakes, fake, I don't know, matte black moldings or shiny pieces, or sometimes they're even placed on the car in a way that defies function, where you think, well, yeah, I would appreciate a non-scratch surface on the front bumper, but where you placed it in an undercut where a body color panel is overshadowing it, it's obviously not going to prevent my bumper from getting scratched. So there is this kind of substitution of meaning, you know what I mean? Where instead of honesty in design, it's anything but honesty in design. It's a complete outright lie. So that's what I don't appreciate. But I'm not ready to pin that on the designer's shoulders and say, yeah, it's because those guys, they don't know how to do their job. No, it's because of how this industry works. Quick refresh cycles, constant need to bring something fresh to the market. 2-year-old car is too old now. We need a refresh, but we can't invest money into it, so we can't actually just come up with a brand new design. Let's take it as it is and just stick something on top of it. Let's make sure that we differentiate with low-hanging fruit, quote unquote. Just put something on there that doesn't cost us that much money. So you're being forced as a designer into the territory that none of us graduated with dreams of doing these kinds of Christmas tree ornamentations. We all graduated with dreams of, oh, I'll be like Giorgetto Giugiaro someday, or I'll be like Marcello Gandini someday. But they worked in a completely different climate.
Yeah,
Right now,
that's
with the
right.
pressure that the corporate world has upon the design department, yeah, you're hard pressed, to do your job
Yeah.
and stay dignified.
Yeah, yeah. And what's your sort of take on, Jaguar obviously got so much grief earlier this year with it wasn't just a car redesign, it was really a brand overhaul, right? And I think a lot of us struggled with that because, Jaguar is a legacy brand, right? There's an expectation for Jaguar. Here you are, clean slate, right? How is that different designing for a legacy brand versus a brand new entity like Nilu or even Koenigsegg, relatively new?
Well, just a couple of words on the Jag. First of all, I would never speak negatively of someone who took chances and showed bravery. So from that point of view, hats off. I think it's wonderful that they did. I think the brand has been in a crisis mode for not one, not two, but I don't know, 4 decades at this point in time.
Yeah.
They've really not had a chance to stand firm on their feet. And, the Ford platforms were horrendous and over bloated, kind of fatty designs with tiny little wheels pulled all the way in. These cars, they didn't look good. So it's not like the designers came in, took this beautiful, refined jewel of a brand and screwed it up. That's not what happened. The brand was struggling, so it needed reinvention. Now, do you think, do I think that I would have gone that particular route with Jaguar if I was once given a chance? Probably not, but I really appreciate that they did and that they stuck to it and that they came out strong. And there are many areas on that car that show incredible design quality and sensitivity. That interior is beautiful. Some of the detail treatment is beautiful. Overall proportions, squint your eyes, look at it. It's a beast. Yeah, in my mind, Jags should be a bit more feline with a little bit more kind of flow and sculpture and a little bit more general beauty to them, right? Not just slab-sided, monstrous kind of brutalist designs. But again, hats off. They tried something different and they tried to rescue an otherwise failing project. So, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
No,
where I stand
interesting.
on that.
I think the Jaguar design language had been taken as far as it could go, right? And I think Aston was in that same position, right, a few years ago, and they had to do something different.
I do think that you kind of start with a strong manifesto with like a declaration of intent and a message that is very clear. And that message is verbal, but there's also usually a set of images that accompany it, like you start off kind of programming the brand for a new era. And then as you iterate, as you go, first product is always the celebration of that new vision. And then you're pressed by the market demand and the fans and the media, how do you kind of continue that development? And the first few products are usually a good continuation of that original manifesto. And then somehow, one way or another, maybe some people leave, some new people come in, it gets diluted. So there's always a kind of a strong intent at the beginning that somehow slowly glides down to a point where a new kick is necessary. And that's also why I think that perhaps rotating chief designers and rotating CEOs is not such a bad thing. I don't know, like after 15 years in a brand, if I would personally have any more new ground to break. I already kind of digested the brand's meaning. I contributed my vision. I did a generation of cars, 2 generations of cars, 3 generations of cars. Like, how much more can you do? I think it's time for fresh blood.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess supercars are one thing, hypercars are one thing. It's probably even that much more challenging, to your point, to design like an everyday car, right? So are there any daily drivers out there that you think really get it right, past cars, current cars?
I'm not generally like a super big fan of current cars. Like if I think of some things that I like, they always are strangely from the past, you know, and like I remember, one of the formative experiences of like a regular car, seeing something new as a regular car, was the original TT when that came out. And then the Golf Mark IV, which was the kind of same generation as that TT, was the first car with clear headlights with like no, not foggy, And that was so clean and so pure, and the shut lines, the way they were laid out. And that was the time when I was already not super little. I was maybe in my early teens, but very formative to me as a designer of just how neat and how organized and how precise, their shapes were. And I really kind of still to this day hold those cars at a very high level of respect. Today, when I see stuff, I just want to clean it up. That's my only kind of ambition. I'm like, look, this is almost perfect, but just remove all this design. Like, remove all that stuff. Like, I don't need it. Because I'm pretty, like, cynical in the respect. No, I'm not sure that's the right word. When I get in the car in the morning and I'm not necessarily in the mood for visual bonanza. I just want stuff that doesn't piss me off.
Mm-hmm,
I want stuff that I get in and it's just there, perfectly resolved. Sorry for the example that is overused, but like the freaking iPhone. I don't need stuff that screams at me on Monday morning. It says check me out. I got this feature. I got that feature. And I got this, my shifter looks like a leaf and it's got this little chrome trim. Who cares?
Yeah.
Give me something that I can actually grab and does its job and looks pure and simple and that's what I like.
It's funny you mentioned that Volkswagen because I remember the first time I saw one on the street. I remember where I was. I remember what the car, looked like, and like it was a Countach or something. Like the first time I saw a Lamborghini, it had that sort of impact on me. So I'm glad to hear that I'm in good company. And of course, the TT you mentioned is interesting because the new TT concept was just released today.
Right.
And it's shades of, I think it was the Audi Avis car, the concept car of my youth, I guess. So thoughts on that, because it's getting a lot of press and people seem to really love it, especially the back end.
I'm a big Audi fan, and as you know, I spent 12 years of my life in Volkswagen Group. A big chunk of that I was at Audi as well, working on some production programs there. So, big fan of Audi. I struggled with the management there for many years because I thought that they didn't fully embrace Audi DNA. For me, Audi DNA is much more Germanic, much more Bauhaus, much more kind of Teutonic, strict, fundamental, almost brutalist. There is something about Audi that is, German to the core in this no-nonsense kind of way. Yeah. And when they were over-styling it and putting a lot of styling lines and putting undercuts and overcuts and chrome bits and this and that, and again, going in the Christmas tree direction with the cars, I personally felt disconnected. I felt like that Audi has such a wealth of DNA behind it. Come on, guys, let's just do something more pure. Yeah. And my proposals were always on that more pure direction, and then eventually they weren't getting into production because they were seen as just not right for the brand. In fact, I was being offended by being told, you're not on brand. And I'm thinking, no, you are not on brand. None of you are on brand. You don't get the brand. I need to shake you guys. We're not doing rebadged BMWs or rebadged Mercedeses here. This should be different. There is a quality of design that needs to be respected. And that Abus concept you mentioned was obviously a big inspiration. J. May's early 90s, wonderful car. There was also the Audi Sport Quattro Coupe concept back then, also with this round roof orange car. Spider and Coupe, they were wonderful. Then the TT came, then the Steppenwolf was incredible as well with Raphael Prétichet as a designer, and there was a whole plethora of cars that for me set the standard for what Audi design should be. And then there were a lot of newer cars already under Walter de Silva, and then Stefan Zilaf, and then Wolfgang Egger, and then Mark Lichte, incredibly competent designers. But some of that original design manifesto got watered down. And remember, I just said a minute ago how you start high and then you kind of and then you need to restart. Well, maybe this is what's happening now. Maybe bringing Massimo on board, they are really kind of returning back to this more Bauhaus Germanic roots. From that perspective, I love what they did, and I'm really happy to see it.
Yeah, that design language works so well in a way that it wouldn't, I think, with Jaguar or something else. It just looks right. It's hard to put your finger on, but that explanation of the history and all that, that explains it, I think. And was it Freeman Thomas who did the original TT?
Freeman is awesome. Yeah, he did the original TT. He worked on the original New Beetle as well.
That's right.
Remember that round roof one. And to this day, he's an inspiration. Great designer.
Was he a teacher of yours at Art Center?
No, he didn't teach, but he's prominent, so he always stopped by and gave his opinion here and there. And sometimes I go out to see him and run whatever I'm doing by him just to get some friendly advice.
He's a hell of a nice guy, too. I've bumped into him a couple times at the Peterson Museum and other places, and he's always got time to say hello and talk with you.
But I have to say, he on a philosophical level is very much the core of, in my mind, of Audi DNA. Like you would go to him, to Derek Jenkins as well, another very prominent designer I respect a lot, for this Audi DNA. It was an interesting thing. I need to mention this. The Germans themselves struggled to understand the quintessential part of Audi DNA. You had to be a foreigner to see it. And the fact that those guys were coming from the States and they grew up with a completely different understanding of what VW is and what Audi is, and there was a whole hippie culture tied into it. And there was a whole West Coast kind of fun culture attached to it. Germans see their past with heavy guilt. So when you tell them, let's take inspiration from the 30s, it's like, are you nuts? Like, why would we do that? Like, please, anything but. So it really takes a person who is not part of the guilt train to reference some of those cars and celebrate them in the way they should be celebrated. Because I don't think the cars are guilty of the dictators, actions. It's wrong.
You're the first person that I've ever heard say that, Sasha. And I think that's really important. And that explains so much, right? I know Mercedes-Benz has this amazing repository of their history that they keep under lock and key, right? And obviously I understand some of it, but it's still your history, right? And I like that point of being an outsider looking in to really understand it. It's fascinating, So you mentioned Volkswagen, Audi TT, some of these other cars. I'm very fascinated to find out what your daily driver is, Sasha. What do you drive? The guy that designs the Nilu 27, what does he drive every day?
Well, my favorite daily driver that I had to sell when we moved to the States for the second time was the R35 GTR.
Oh.
That was my kind of perfect weapon.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved every moment of it. I would take kids to school and drive on the German Autobahn and max the car out every single day. So it would literally go 195 miles an hour on the way to school. And then onto the off-ramp, completely de-restricted. So you brake late, you throw the car in and floor it on the exit, let it slide a little bit. The kids are partying it out, celebrating. And perfectly legal. So that was an experience. I loved every moment of owning that car. Yes. Right now I drive a 2021 or 22 Land Rover Defender, which I really like. It's a very pure, clean volume. Again, referencing, by the way, this is another car that the current Audi chief designed back in his Land Rover days. So there's some taste of his that I appreciate in that car as well. It solves my daily needs, doesn't upset me. I don't feel like I need to scream and yell at it. The reliability sucks, but the design is good.
Yeah. It's a great design. I love, what was it, the Heritage Edition with the steel wheels and all that.
Right.
I don't know which one you have, but I love those. They're great. And they drive really well too. You don't always notice until you get out of something else before you realize how good those Land Rovers ride. And you mentioned the R35 because I think it was just last week that they announced the last one was rolling off the assembly line. Right. And I had to stop and think about how long that thing has been out. I think that was released in, was it 05 or 08? 08?
07 were the first cars on the road, but the concept was a couple of years before that, and then there was another concept another couple of years before that. So I would say the journey of that R35 project probably goes back to early 2000s.
Really? Yeah. And I remember when it came out, this was the death of analog, right? This new digital car. And now we look back and think, all right, this thing's pretty damn analog.
Damn analog, right? Exactly, compared to today's cars. It's got a ton of character. I don't know, people talk about the fact that it's like driving a PlayStation cars, but it really isn't. The thing is tons of joy and can really kind of... I wouldn't say it punishes you outright because it does catch you if you're too stupid, but there is some like snap oversteer moments I had where I was kind of, what was that all about?
Yeah. Well, it's nice. I mean, I think the proof is in the pudding, and that the fact that those cars are holding their value really, really well.
I sold mine for more than I bought it for, which is incredible because a 7-year-old car, I fractionally, but it still didn't depreciate. Yeah.
Sure, like it's a Porsche GT car or something, Okay, so you're in Southern California, LA area, I assume.
Indeed.
Yeah. So where are your go-to roads? I know when I'm in town, I always try to do Angeles Crest and Little Big Tahunga or whatever those roads are. They're pretty fantastic, like roller coasters. Where do you go? What are your proving grounds in SoCal?
I don't have any proving grounds because I don't have a car that is worth the proving grounds.
Okay.
So
good answer.
The Land Rover is about to tip over every time I'm on the off-ramp, so I don't feel the need to take it anywhere more extreme than that.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But obviously some gorgeous roads. I am not a fan of necessarily hooning around public roads. I am decent as a driver. I'm not great, and I don't want to be a liability on that road, and I don't want to drag anybody else into any kind of accidents with me. So track day, and then some days of preparing with Assetto Corsa and getting a few laps in to understand all your braking points, and then go to the track semi-educated and do some fun laps on the track. That's how I normally get my kick.
It's a great point. I mean, one of the reasons I moved to Denver to Colorado here 10 or 11 years ago was for the roads. And I just turned 50 about a week ago. I know you're a few years younger than me, but it's becoming less and less important. I've got nothing to prove. It's just about going out and having a good time. If I was involved with something, even indirectly, that hurt someone or I couldn't live with myself. And so, it's funny how your priorities change anymore. It's more about the drive and the scenery that it's,
but it's also outright scary, especially in modern high performance cars, because to tap into their actual performance envelope, you need to be so far above and beyond anything that is road legal in terms of speed limits. And then you're throwing this car in and you're hoping that it doesn't understeer a fraction more than it normally does, and that you'll bite into that road. But if you don't, then it's a cliff, you know. So,
Yes,
or
yes.
coming out of the corner, you're a bit sloppy with your throttle, and then the back comes out, and there's no room for error. And I don't understand people when I see them driving as recklessly as they do. Are they superhuman in their their abilities, or do they
Yeah,
overestimate their
yeah,
abilities and then they
yeah,
are risking? Because
yeah,
I don't like it. I mean, Pikes Peak on YouTube
yeah.
is more than enough for me to get my palms sweaty and my back sweaty. So
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you, and you know, and it's everyone else too, right? It's the person coming the other direction, or whatever, as you know.
and then there's a motorcycle leaning into the other direction,
Yes,
so they're
exactly.
across the lane divide, and you're on the limit of your grip. So what are you going to do then?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And you mentioned Pikes Peak. Have you ever been out here for Pikes Peak?
No, would love to.
Okay, if you'd ever want to come out, please do let me know. There's nothing else like it. It's this world class event, but it's still very much sort of a locals only kind of thing. I mean, it's a generational thing, and then the diversity of cars is amazing because you'll see some 1950s pickup truck with 900 horsepower next to some concept vehicle next to someone in a bone stock GT4 or a Corvette or something. It's just a fantastic event, and just to see too the cars slow down the higher it gets, right, with atmospheric power loss. There's nothing
Oh,
like it.
you definitely don't need to convince me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make an effort to be there
Please
sooner
let
or
me
later.
know.
Yeah,
Please let me know. I'll show you
I will
around
do,
for
Ryan.
sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I think something else too, kids. Once you have kids, right, your priorities change. And I know that Nilu, I think, is named after your two kids. Is that right?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah,
Nika and Lucia, and
right
I own
on.
you. Yeah, yeah.
In the number 27 has special significance for you as well. Would you share
Yeah.
what that is?
Yeah, so that was that magazine clipping that I was talking about a bit earlier that I got my hands on that kind of pivoted me and made me fall in love with cars for life. And that was Gilles Villeneuve's number 27 Formula One Ferrari. And when I started watching F1 about a decade later, when they started showing it on Russian television,
Yeah.
I also saw number 27 Ferrari, and I thought that probably was the same driver, but of course I wasn't. It was Jean Easy, and I was a Ferrari fan as a kid, and always kind of
Yeah.
drawing cars with number 27 on them. So I figured
Yeah.
it's kind of my lucky mascot, and now we're starting a company and calling it after our kids, my wife and I. And why don't we just put that number 27 as our little mascot? You know, some companies have a prancing pony, other
Yeah.
companies have a raging bull, and we just have that number 27 that carries our emotional kind of message across.
I love it. I love it. And I'm sure you see 27 everywhere now, right?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
Every time I pick up like a number from my table at a restaurant, it's 27. Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know
that's
that for me it's 22, but it's the same kind of thing. I know it's going to be a good day. Like if I get, 22 on my cup of coffee or something, it's
awesome.
funny how that works, So I want to talk a little bit. My background is actually graphic design, and I know you have a design consultancy as well. And it's not just automotive design, it's Hardline 27, I think is what it's called, right?
Yes, correct.
And graphic design is part of it, which I think is so cool. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of, I guess, kind of the convergence of design disciplines when it comes to car design and what you do, and I guess what you offer as a firm as well?
Yeah, so I do firmly believe in kind of a holistic approach to design. I really don't like it when things look like different cooks and different departments did
Yeah.
different things on a car. You want everything. Again, sort of referencing back to the tech world, you want the OS to look harmonious with the external shell of the phone, right? You don't want them to be designed by two different philosophies.
Yeah.
And that's why we have a very holistic approach. We have people on board who kind of own certain subjects, but there's also tons of cross-pollination. So it isn't like, they're working in silos. It's really teamwork. Everybody comes together, discusses the briefing, discusses the vision for the product, discusses the vision for the brand, understands how to approach it from an interior designer's perspective, an exterior designer's perspective, brand design. We don't call it graphic design, we call it brand design because a lot of it is corporate identity for us, right? It's coming up with a refreshed set of corporate identity guidelines, be it the logo and the logotype or colors or fonts and typography or bespoke typography as well. But it all has to fit into the kind of the metaphysical cathedral that the company and the brand represents, right? It all has to be part of the decorum of that faith, like it really needs to communicate the vision. And I really appreciate that we're small, lean, agile, and around me I have people who work in the same kind of way that I do, which is very hands-on, not delegating the work, but sitting down doing it ourselves. And Hardline's had 3 years of very successful operation. We had in total recently counted close to 30 clients in the 3 years, so on average about 10 clients per year, ranging from top of the line tech companies to OEMs that everybody has heard of, sports car OEMs, and eventually a few very interesting startups that had some very novel ideas they wanted us to help them kind of germinate and illustrate. Very rewarding work. Really appreciate it. It allows me to have my hand on the pulse of the industry a little bit, because it's very easy to get sort of sucked into your own daily grind and to lose track of what is everybody else up to, what are things that are happening around me in this industry. And having Hardline, obviously the work is NDA and obviously super secret and all, but I still am exposed to a lot of it, and I can then kind of contribute to those brands in a meaningful way, because I have a landscape in my mind. I understand the lay of the land a little bit, and then you can really tailor make your offering. We've done programs that range from outright production cars that are kind of all the way taken into a release of panels and finalizing the design. But we've also done plenty of work that is front-loading the work, which is more on the concept stage. Coming up with core pillars for the brand and illustrating them into the guiding principles of what their stories should look like. All kinds of work, but very exciting. We're picky. We're kind of choosy at this point in time. We don't just take on any project. For example, I had a dream to do muscle car work for a long time and kind of tap into the American scene. And we have a client in Florida that allowed us to do that. And there's a couple of exciting projects coming out with them soon. So we're picky, but I embrace a lot more. Like Nilu is quite narrowly focused.
Sure.
And Hardline is the opposite, and then they kind of yin and yang each other in that way. And in my mind, they create a more, I'll say, wholesome experience for me as a designer and as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, it sounds like the perfect balance. It sounds like a dream job, right? I mean, it's something I've learned as a graphic designer is you really can't isolate yourself any longer, right? It has to be that convergence. It has to be a holistic approach, or it just doesn't work. It's just not how the world works anymore, right? Those days are done. What an exciting thing. I mean, it's just, then you're not locked into the car thing all the time either, right? It's you've got something else going on. But back to the car, because I think you've got a production schedule now, right? I think first 15 cars are track only coming out next year, 26.
Well, we will make some announcements soon, but according to our engineering team, it might not be that 15 track cars are first. It might be that we are slotting them into the production run here and there. So we're still working on the details of that. There is logistics, there is a supply chain, there is, let's say, the business side of things at play here as well. But yeah, we are committed to 15 non-strictly speaking road legal units and 54 homologated road legal cars. Yeah.
Cool. And I guess your potential customer, what makes a Nilu customer different, say, than someone who will just, at least theoretically go into a Ferrari dealership and drop similar coin on a Daytona SP3, right? How is your prospective customer different?
Well, I don't actually think that they are, because most of our customers are pretty big connoisseurs and collectors of that type of vehicle. So for some of them, it's a first purchase. We actually have concluded a sale with one such customer very recently, the first time hypercar buyer. That's very exciting for us. But most of them are seasoned hypercar collectors, and they really have a pretty well-trained eye and expectation level, and they kind of know the experience all too well. So I do think that there's a general shift happening at the moment where our message lands really well with our prospective customers. The message of back to the roots, the message of decomplexing the vehicle, less reliance on electronics, putting the driver back in the driver's seat. Like you earlier, Ryan, started with listing out the specs of the Nilu. We don't headline with that stuff on
Yeah.
purpose. I mean, for me, the headline is the driver is in the driver's seat,
Yeah.
and what you as a driver can get out of it. If it's a sub 3 second
Yeah.
0 to 100 kilometer acceleration, I'll applaud you for doing that. But that just means that you found the perfect day, the perfect road condition, and you timed your shifts perfectly, and you worked that clutch and you worked that throttle pedal, and it's more of your accomplishment. I mean, obviously it's in the car can pull it off, but it won't do much to help you either. So you know, that headline spec isn't something that we advertise on our front
Yeah.
page, because it's up to the driver. That's what we want to talk about. And in that sense, it's finding a lot of traction and a great reception from the customer community, because
Yeah.
they are tired of these soulless car as an appliance, car as a tech gadget approach that has even trickled over to hypercar world from the Teslas and the Lucids of this world. It has also trickled into the hypercar world now, and the customer doesn't want much of that in the future. Perfectly coinciding with my own dream and my own ambition. You know, I've always wanted to do just that, and all of a sudden the market seems very ripe for it.
Can we talk a little bit about Car Week? Because I think for someone like me, or for the average person that comes to Car Week, it's just kind of fun. It's you know, it's a show. But for someone like you, you're working. You're actually selling cars, right? Gordon Murray or a singer, they're selling cars. So, what's your take on Car Week from your perspective? I mean, you're selling cars, right?
Of course we are. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what we're here for. We're trying to build a successful company. You know? We're early days still, but that's what we're doing. And the experience is you just can't miss Car Week. You cannot not go.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
it's such an incredible melting pot gathering of both the industry and the clientele and the media. So, you know, if you're not there, you're missing out on effectively the highlight of the year. It's intense. It's tiring. It's actually
Hmm.
quite grueling, like the
Hmm.
schedule there, and
Hmm.
you're kind of uh every day wondering how much can I bear this for, but it's a must.
Yeah.
You really
Yeah.
can't not go. So what are the highlights? Well, for me, first of all, my wife and I, we went for the first time to Monterey for Car Week when we were students, and we just went and like
Oh, wow.
you know, rented a car, got a few of our friends together, went there without any tickets to anything, and just kind of BS'd our way into most events and climbed under the fence for the others and cheated our way for the rest. And that was our first experience, and bumping into some,
I
I
love
don't
it.
know, legendary designers there saying, "Hi, I'm Sasha," and like, "Can I have your autograph?" basically. So now you go in
Yeah.
there and it's a whole different experience. Last year we presented our
Yeah.
car at the awards ramp in Pebble Beach, and I'm just standing there pinching myself, thinking, "Holy crap!" You know, like I was here as a kid, just fighting for an autograph. I was here as a designer for all these amazing companies, presenting their output or being part of the crew with the car there. Some cases with Koenigsegg, for example, on the stage presenting
Yeah.
as well. But here I am with my own creation, something that's lived in my mind for such a long time. And here we are. It's a small team, tiny team. It's just my wife, myself, and a couple of other people. And we have to do everything from loading, unloading, to repairing, to putting up beach flags and looking for sandbags and repainting the scratched paint on the floor. But like all that stuff we have to do. But what a reward! Then you stand there at this awards ramp, and I really wonder, did I just present my car to the world here? Like that's just, you can't, can't.
I can't imagine what that must feel like. I just that you've come full circle like that you're the guy now, signing autographs. Must just be the
Surreal.
coolest.
But
coolest
I
feeling
try to
ever.
not
That's
forget. I don't
fantastic.
forget the humble beginnings, and I think that most of those people, approaching now with a comment or a request for an autograph or a picture, they're slated to do some great things in their life. So you have to kind of, yeah, you obviously have to treat everybody with
Yeah.
respect and with dignity. But these people show their passion; they wear it on their sleeve, so they'll do great things. I have no doubt.
Yeah. I love that. I absolutely love that. Can I ask what were some of the automotive highlights for you at Car Week this year? Some of the work of others that you thought was pretty great?
I think one car really stole the show, and it was the S1 LM, the LM McLaren F1 remake that Gordon Murray's
Yeah.
team pulled off. I thought that looked fabulous and really pretty, and
Yeah.
I really enjoyed kind of I celebrated that result together with a couple of people I know from that project. So it's a very impressive
Neat.
car. It also shows to me that sometimes running after new isn't necessary. We're not in the we have reached peak car. we're not in a
Yeah.
situation where we're looking for peak car. We have reached it. So the innovation for me at this point in time is kind of a lot of the times just watering down what the peak car should be as far as sports cars are concerned. And that they are kind of looking back at history and wondering, did we throw the baby out with the water? Like, no, we should really celebrate, the good that there was in this beautiful McLaren F1 is obviously a legendary car, so that they recreated it with such respect and with such quality, I find very attractive.
Yeah.
I did similar we did similar at Koenigsegg with CC850, and that was a dream project for me as well to kind of celebrate the brand's true design beginnings and then in this even more mature and refined way. People have an issue with retro. They always say, "Oh, but that's retro." But so what's wrong with that? If it was good, why throw it away?
Mm-hmm.
Is everything
Yeah.
that is tomorrow better than everything that was yesterday? Is that like always the case? I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the CC850 because of that, right? Because it pays, tribute, right, to, what came before it. And it's done so well. So, and what about the GMA, the 33 and the 50? What are your thoughts on this? Because in a lot of ways, they're probably some of the closest analogs, right, to the Nilu 27.
So, I absolutely love them as far as the concept is concerned. I think Gordon's concept is incredible, and he doesn't need my approval. We all know that he's a legendary name and knows his stuff. The engine drivetrain combination is wonderful. I love the kind of scaled down 12-cylinder, lightweight revs, to infinity. Wonderful. Packaging is great, tight, tiny packages that are cocooning and just right for the driver. Great view angles. On the exterior design side for both cars, underbaked. I think the LM really sets a standard for Gordon Murray. I didn't quite like the both exteriors. I felt they were a bit too tame. I don't think that every car needs to scream that it wants to burn your village. Not at all. But they weren't executed to their fullest potential. There are areas which are a bit iffy, like that rear end for me was a bit iffy on the 250. Narrow, tall, not doing itself any favors with the way the graphics were applied, emphasizing height instead of width in some cases. But again, from everybody else out there, I think these are very compelling products. I mean, analog, manual, perfect sound, wonderful packaging, and now with the new iteration of cars, I think they've also unlocked the finesse and the design side as well.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what's so great about your car. It's got a presence, right, that even those two wonderful cars don't have. And I think for someone my age, it presses the right buttons, right? It gets me excited, right? You walk around and every angle is a good one. It's an event, right? I can't imagine what it's like to drive, but just even looking at it is an event. It's just special. And as I alluded to at the beginning, it's such a cool thing. And again, it must feel so amazing to know that that's yours, that that's your baby. But I know no small amount of hard work, has gone behind all this. And so congratulations on something pretty wonderful.
Thank you very much. It is a huge challenge. It's the challenge of our lives to succeed, but we are doing everything right, and we're supported by a very passionate group of people around us, and that group is growing, and there will be some very important announcements coming up soon about the progress that we've made in the last year. So epic journey. Really loved every moment of it so far, and then we're still at the beginning. I'm 42 now, but it still feels like the mountain is there for me to climb, even after all the years and all the other smaller mountains that were successfully navigated. There's still a big one in front.
Where do we find you, your cars, your consultancy online, Sasha?
Well, cars, Nilu27.com, consultancy, hardline27.com. Both are pretty active on Instagram. Look up Hardline27 Official or Nilu27 Official for our Instagram accounts. I also have a private Instagram account, Sasha Selipanov, that I'm sometimes active on, and they do all have very different narratives to tell. So, speaking to you right now, I'm saying things also as a private person, not only as a representative of Nilu or Hardline, but there's some split in the way the narratives are handled there.
Cool.
Excited to see new followers. Always.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're a great follow, and all the pages are fantastic follows as well. One last question for you. You're a music fan, are you not?
Yeah, big time.
I've seen you in some concert T-shirts and stuff.
Always,
so what are you listening to when you're designing? What are you putting on?
So that was actually one of the very formative things in my life and in my career from the early days. My mom used to challenge my brother and I. My brother is actually a composer, a serious kind of
Oh,
musician
really?
now. But as we were kids, she would always challenge us to close our eyes and imagine a visual narrative for any piece of music that she would play. And then she would stop the music and have us retell what we imagined. So for me, this connection between visual and oral is actually very strong. So I do find the right subgenre of metal for each project
Okay, right on.
that I can
I love it.
can get the right vibes from. But I mean, we can laugh about it
Yeah.
because metal maybe to some people is very kind of homogenous in a way, but it really isn't because there are things that are incredibly slow paced, landscapey, and very
Hmm.
abstract, and there are things that are fast paced, brutal, and there are things that are very mathematically driven with complex time signatures and polyrhythms
Hmm.
and then weird kind of shifts, and then there are other things that are monumental and huge. So depending on the project, you really can find the right kind of soundscape that puts your mind, in the mode that creates visual forms and language that coincides with the music that was originally picked out to guide you towards a result for that particular project. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Well, Sasha Selipanov, I thank you for joining us on That Car Show today. We cannot wait to see what's next. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it, Ryan. It was a pleasure. Thank you
All
very
right.
much. And thank you to all the listeners.
Likewise.